Okie doke. Nicholas, are you ready, buddy? Give him a second, I guess.
Okay.
Yes, we can hear you. Great.
Look,
We'll start the show.
I'm in a pod.
You're fine. I'll introduce the topic and then we'll just get into it. Cool. Excellent. Let's go. Welcome, one and all, to yet another episode of WIC TV. It's a cross-ideological space where we come together to talk about issues both political and cultural, from the silly to the serious. And today, we are going to be discussing the Insurrection Act. In the wake of the Renee Good shooting, protests have exploded across Minnesota, with allegations of misconduct and brutality made against ICE agents across the state. However, many claim that it is the protesters, as well as Democratic rhetoric, calling ICE Gestapo and Nazi, that have escalated tensions, with many more angry at Don Lemon and other protesters for disrupting a church meeting where a pastor who was an alleged ICE official was apparently hosting service. President Trump, while recently backing off a bit from this, has floated the idea of invoking the Insurrection Act in Minnesota to take control of the situation. And tonight, we're going to ask the question, should President Trump invoke the Insurrection Act in Minnesota? Why or why not? And we're going to talk about it. We got some great guests to do so. We're going to start with Hunter Ash. Give us your thoughts. Tell us who you are, why we should listen to you, and what your thoughts are on the situation at hand.
Sure. I mean, so I'll let people decide if they should listen to me based on what I say. But so I support the ICE operations that are happening in Minneapolis and Minnesota more broadly. The American people voted for mass deportations. This has been Trump's flagship issue since 2015. He won the popular vote. You know, he won both houses of Congress. They voted to give ICE additional funding. It's pretty clear that this is what people voted for. And, you know, localities, municipalities, or individual protesters do not have a veto over this, right? This is not part of our system. Just because if you don't want these things to happen, the thing to do was vote, and you lost those elections. So those operations need to be carried out. And the strategy from the left right now is obviously just to create enough chaos, enough procedural hurdles such that this can't happen, right? Such that it creates this fundamental asymmetry where Biden actively welcomed in an unprecedented number of people, and then they are going to try to make it impossible to reverse this by impeding ICE agents, by trying to walk right up to the line of what they think they're allowed to do, or what might seem reasonable in a viral freeze frame picture or something. And then they will take the worst looking pictures of the reaction and, blast that everywhere to try to, again, make it functionally impossible to reverse the Biden wave. And it seems like the only response that would be morally acceptable to my opponents is just to let this work, right? Is like, okay, no, you're just not allowed to deport these people. We're going to make sure that either it requires a level of procedure that would just make it impossible to scale this, right? That would make it such that, he can get 10,000 over his entire 4-year term or something. Or that, these protesters will actively interfere with the ongoing ICE operations in a way that is just guaranteed to create the kinds of, viral footage that we've seen out of Minneapolis. And I think that the reason why we need to invoke the Insurrection Act is because local officials are clearly exceeding their authority. They think they have some right to veto federal policy, to veto, national immigration policy, which they do not get to set, right? The mayors and governors of cities do not get to set national immigration policy. They're trying everything in their power to do so, and they can't be allowed to do that. And I think that for the safety of everybody involved, right, for the safety of these, in my view, misguided protesters, for the safety of the immigrants who need to be deported and who have a better chance of being deported peacefully, they'll have better outcomes if this can be enforced in an orderly fashion. I do think that President Trump needs to invoke the Insurrection Act. I think that I'm sure that all of these local officials will hedge their language. They've gotten very good at this, right? They'll make sure that they say things that don't quite seem to warrant this kind of response, but they're clearly in practice doing everything in their power to impede the enforcement of federal law, and that is not acceptable.
Okay, we'll get to it as we go. Once Drew gets back, we'll see if he can actually hear us and see us and all that. But in the meantime, we are joined by Nicholas Decker. Tell people who you are, what you do, and your thoughts on the situation at hand. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. My name is Nicholas Decker. I write about economics on the internet. I'm a research assistant at the moment and applying for grad school next year. I think the case for invoking the Insurrection Act is very stupid, and it makes the people who argue for it by proxy very stupid. So I disagree on the merits of whether or not we should have more or less immigration, but the jump to there is an insurrection going on is just so obviously specious that it's frankly boring to argue against, and I don't really care about it. Generally speaking, I think that we should have more immigration. I think that there are aggregate increasing returns to the number of people. And admittedly, the macro evidence on this is unsettled. But I think it strains credulity to come up with any production function involving easily replicable ideas and not think that there are increasing returns in a modern economy. So that's pretty much all.
Okay, we'll get into it as we go. Thanks for being here. Drew, can you hear us? Can you see us? All that good shit?
Yeah. Listen, can you hear my audio? Is everything okay?
Yep, everything's great. What are your thoughts on the thing? Tell people who you are, why we should listen to you, and what are your thoughts? Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Drew Pavlou. I am an Australian. Just came back from America. Beautiful trip. In general, across the Western world, I support, immigration restriction. I think that we should conserve national culture. And what I oppose is essentially efforts by even mainstream Democrats, center-left Democrats, to essentially abolish all border control and basically make it impossible to deport anybody who is illegally in the country. And the American people voted at the last election, a majority voted to have deportations of people who had illegally entered the country under Biden. Up to 10 million people, I believe, entered into the country under Biden. This was a massive wave of people, and it was a major reason why Trump won. And this is why I believe that democratically, the will of the people needs to be democratically followed, and the amount of violence that's been used against just routine immigration enforcement in America by leftists is quite appalling. Frankly, there was obviously the terrorist attack about 6 months ago, where they were trying to kill ICE agents. There was a sniper on a roof. I believe he actually ended up killing illegal immigrants himself.
It was a tragedy.
Yeah, horrific incident. And I mean, do you agree, Nicholas, that it's a tragedy that they killed?
We'll get into the crosstalk in a minute, man. Right? Just finish your main point, then we'll let Destiny speak, and then we'll open it up. No, it's all good.
Yep. So essentially, what I'm supporting is just routine immigration enforcement, and I oppose efforts by the centre left to impede the ability of federal agents to just lawfully carry out their duties. And we have seen projectiles thrown at immigration enforcement authorities. We've seen attacks on churches. We've seen a massive amount of violence and threats directed against immigration enforcement authorities and efforts to try and stop them from carrying out their duties. And the American people voted for this. And I simply say that the will of the people should be heard democratically, and people who are in the country illegally need to be deported. And I wonder whether anybody on this panel representing the left-wing position even agrees in principle that people illegally in the country should be deported.
Well, we'll get to it as we go. Destiny, what What are your thoughts? And then we'll open it up and get to the crosstalk and all these things. Go ahead, Destiny.
Yeah, I actually don't really care about the substance of the conversation at all. I think that, unfortunately, regardless of what your position is, the fact that Kristi Noem and Donald Trump can't seem to speak honestly about anything happening on the ground, the fact that both of them found it necessary to lie about the situation involving the killing of the one driver lady in Minnesota means that they've kind of completely and totally ceded all grounds to do any kind of insurrection act or any kind of mass enforcement. I think that when your federal government is lying to you and lying about things that all of us can see on video, there's absolutely no reason why we should trust them to deploy any type of National Guard or to invoke any kind of insurrection act, because who's to say that they won't lie about other stuff relating to details of it in the future. So I think that they just completely lost the ground on that. They should probably just get the fuck out of Minnesota, respect states' rights, and then go back to trying to govern like a real president. I hear this thrown around a lot. I've heard it thrown around on this panel. I don't know what the level of government understanding is, but in the United States of America, just because you win an election doesn't give you carte blanche to do literally whatever you want for the rest of your 4 years. There's a reason why ICE is historically hated more now than they have been in all of U.S. history. I think 42% of Americans support the abolition of ICE right now, so it's obviously not going in the direction they want it to. Yeah.
Okay, we will open it up, and you guys can ask each other questions, have talks. If I have questions, I'll jump in, but otherwise, floor is open. Go ahead.
Can we, real quick, can we all acknowledge that Kristi Noem and Donald Trump lied about the conditions relating to the slain Minnesota driver?
Yes.
No, absolutely, we cannot. Like, you know,
we cannot agree on
we've
that.
all seen the video, right? And everybody walks away from the video absolutely convinced
wait,
that it
first
indicates
thing.
their pre-existing position.
Was
So
the
I
was
don't
the
really
ICE
think that's
driver
gonna be
was the ICE driver stuck in ice? Was his car trapped in a snowbank?
I don't know.
Okay, can we wait and bring up the video and then go and watch it? There's less than 10 minutes of video for this. This is probably going to be one of the most
No, I think
important
that's a
things
complete
defining
waste of time. It's not
What's a
particularly
waste of time is
significant
having an
whether
argument about
he
whether or
was
not we
cut
should
in
invoke the
ice.
Insurrection Act.
Okay.
You
No.
don't bother to
One
watch
at a
the
time.
5 to 10 minutes of footage available on this. I don't even know why you're here right now. You should mute for 10 minutes. You should just go watch all the available footage. It's going to take you less than 10 minutes to watch it, and then come back when you can have a fully formed opinion on like
No,
the
this is
inciting
just
moment
like
that would
a
be why
typical
the Insurrection
derailment
Act.
tactic.
It
so
is
that
a
we're not
typical,
talking about like the
liberals
general
like to derail.
substance.
Oh, hold on. Okay, hold on, both of you,
Yeah,
please.
that's unfortunate.
All of
The
you.
fact's kind of important.
All of you, please. Like, I understand that it's going to be a passionate panel. I get it, but we can't just talk over each other, so we gotta go one at a time. Renee, I'm sorry, not Renee. Hunter,
It sounded like
if you
two people on drum solos at the same time.
Hunter, if you want to give us your response to that, do you want me to bring up the footage, or should we just skip that part? What do you think, Renee?
And if you want
Hunter.
to, I don't think it's particularly relevant to the substance of any debate. Like, I don't think anyone's position on anything that's happened would change based on whether or not the car was caught in a snowbank, right? The issue is
Conservative positions are
was
never
the-
fact reliant. That is absolutely true. I do agree with that.
the issue. I don't think anybody is, right? I think the issue is that like the question with regard to the Renee Good situation was whether it's a good shoot. We can argue about that forever, but frankly, anyone can just go watch the video and make up their own mind.
What I'm a bit confused about is it seems that Destiny's basically arguing that if the ICE agent was unjustified in shooting Renee.
No, that's not what I argued. I didn't argue that at all.
Is
Can
that
we
what-
have?
is that-
I know you have an Australian
is that
accent. Can
what
we
the
speak
case?
English? Hello?
I mean, you're talking about the Renee Good shooting as the inciting.
No, I'm saying that Kristi Noem and Donald Trump made egregious lies about what led up to that and what happened with that shooting. Whether you think it was a good shoot or a bad shoot, they demonstrably lied about the facts leading up to that. That would be the inciting moment for any type of Insurrection Act thing, right? Because all the protests and everything have kind of been based off of that. The her being shot, whether you think it was good or not, and the fact that they lied so much and so egregiously about that means that they lose any right to invoke any kind of insurrection, because we have no trust in them as the American public to actually wield that power in a responsible manner.
No. But this is the core question is there an insurrection in Minnesota? And you're seemingly arguing that if
Hold on,
if
just real
the
quick.
shooting.
Destiny, you're
Sorry, I don't know where that came from. My bad. I was just
Okay.
coming through. My bad. Go ahead.
Okay.
Every time he talks, it just happens sometimes. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. The core question is there a state of insurrection in the state of Minnesota? You're almost arguing that if the shooting of Renee Good was unjustified, then potentially
No, that's not what I said.
the resultant unrest would be justified.
No, that's not what I said.
So maybe this will help. Destiny, you claim that Kristi Noem and Donald Trump have lied about the shooting, and therefore it doesn't matter what they say, they've lied to the American public, so they cede ground. Can you give us an example of a lie that maybe we could talk about, and maybe we can go forward from there?
Yeah, the way that they both characterize it, we can find the exact words if you want. Pretty sure it's still up on Trump's Truth Social. Christie might have made a tweet. I know she's made multiple statements about it. Their claims were that Renee tried to viciously run over the guy with her car, that the ICE vehicle was stuck, and that multiple ICE agents were trying to get it out of the like an ice bank or a snow bank or whatever when she was trying to run them over. There was one other statement, but they lied. They completely mischaracterized. I wouldn't even say mischaracterized. They just told factual lies that anybody that's seen the footage knows that these are just total lies, regardless of whether it was a good or a bad shoot. Even if you think it was a good shoot, they lied about all of the circumstances surrounding the event. And they continue to lie about paid protesters. They haven't shown any evidence or proof of that, and that's a lie they've also carried on for a decade. So all of these things, they've lied so much about that inciting moment. Why would I allow them to use that moment and the ensuing riots to invoke the Insurrection Act? That's crazy.
Well, the core question is there a state of insurrection in the state of Minnesota? Would you agree there is, or would you agree there
No, I
isn't?
don't care. If conservatives can't even agree on fact here, they don't have the right to participate in this conversation.
That doesn't make sense. The core question is there civil unrest in the state of Minnesota?
That's a much more complicated question than the very simple facts relating to Renee's shooting. And if you can't even understand the simple facts, you don't deserve to be in a conversation.
Okay, I want to hear from Nicholas Decker. He's been trying to get in. Go ahead, sir.
I just wanted to carve out the position that there is no state of insurrection in Minnesota, and this is kind of laughable. And the last time the Insurrection Act was invoked with the Rodney King riots, I don't think that this is anywhere comparable to the Rodney King riots. Like it's not even comparable to 2020. So I think it's absurd on its face. I just wanted to put that on the record, I guess. Carry on.
It's fine. I guess well, let's start with there. And I want to ask Hunter and I want to ask Drew. Like, we can get to the question of the insurrection in a minute, but I am just curious. Do you think that DHS has lied about the Renee Good shooting?
No.
No. Okay.
Is she a domestic terrorist?
I haven't. That's
I don't
obviously
think
a matter of
she's a
opinion.
terrorist.
Like, that's not a falsifiable.
It's a matter of opinion. If the president of the United States says that she's a domestic terrorist,
yes, that's obviously like a characterization. It's an extreme characterization, but it's like what would falsify that, like, or prove it right?
Okay,
Like,
enough with the audio things. Okay,
it's like if you said that somebody's lying because like they said someone's like a really, really evil bad person when they're only a moderately bad person. Like, that's not. There's no way to adjudicate that.
Okay, Nicholas is trying to get in. Go ahead, Nicholas.
I would like to offer the counterposition that Hunter Ash is a pedophile. That this is not, in fact, a matter of opinion, but attested to by their own statements. And that I think if somebody made the characterization that somebody was a pedophile or a domestic terrorist or any other sort of insult like that, making it, if it were totally groundless, would in fact be lying about them. Now, it isn't lying in this case, but although I do feel bad about holding that against you because that's not something anyone can control. So I kind of, I apologize for dirty tricks, but yeah.
What?
Okay, well, that's ridiculously false. But I think I would much rather have the conversation, Decker, that you wanted to have at the beginning, which is a substantive conversation on immigration, because I think if we're just endlessly haggling about like the minute details of what exactly one video shows or another, we're not addressing anything that could actually change anyone's deep substantive position, right? Clearly, people's views on ICE operations in Minnesota are entirely predictable based on their views about immigration in general.
True.
Right?
I think
if
that's
people
true.
think that we should have more.
Let Hunter finish, and then you can respond.
Do you think 30 million people came in illegally under Biden, like Trump has said over and over again?
We probably don't know exactly how many people came in illegally. That's
so it could be a billion. Could it be a billion people? You think it could be a billion people? Could it be? I mean, do you think it could be a billion people?
Obviously, we can put ranges around it that are more or less.
Do you think it could be 500 million people?
No, there's a probability distribution.
50 million people.
No, that's probably unlikely.
Okay, 30 million though?
More likely.
More likely. Okay. That's 2 times. Yeah, that's almost 3 times the amount of total illegal immigrants that were in the United States prior to Biden there. So Donald Trump says 30 million. Does it bother you that he's given no proof of that number? You're saying it's on a distribution. Donald Trump doesn't say it's on a distribution. He say this is the upper end of a normal distribution, that this is
Yeah, obviously he's a politician, and like if they spoke like that, almost nobody would understand them. Like,
I rest my case then. He shouldn't invoke the Insurrection Act. He's a politician. He's going to lie about everything then. I can't trust him, so no Insurrection Act. That's my position.
Strictly speaking, a normal distribution is unbounded in any direction. So a billion would also be equally true under this standard. And in fact, any number would be equally true.
Well, not
so
equally. It's weighted by the likelihood of it having happened.
So you're saying that he 90% lied. He mostly lied.
Saying
it's not a 100% lie. It's just a very, very.
He's giving a relatively exaggerated, improbable figure. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Relatively inaccurate, improbable figures that are much higher than what actually happened, to the best of our knowledge.
But also, we don't know exactly. How could we possibly know how many illegal immigrants are actually in the country with any degree of reliability?
This is the guy that I'm supposed to trust to use the Insurrection Act, right? And to trust to deploy troops and federal agents against U.S. citizens. This is the guy who lies as a politician.
You keep on using ancillary points. The core question is there civil unrest in the state of Minnesota right now? There is civil unrest.
We can't even agree on what happened with the shooting. We can't agree on how many illegal immigrants came to the United States. How can we agree on a state of insurrection? Is there a problem?
The shooting isn't even the core thing here. The core thing is there civil unrest in the state of Minnesota? And yes, there is civil unrest. There are people who are violently attacking ICE agents.
How can I trust? I don't know if I can trust that, because apparently Renee Goodman is a paid agitator terrorist. How do I know that there are people assaulting ICE officers?
The Renee Good thing is completely ancillary to the point. Is there a state of civil unrest in the state of Minnesota right now? Yes, there is. Are there attacks on ICE agents in the state of Minnesota?
How do you know there are attacks on ICE? How do you know there are attacks on ICE agents?
Because there are videos of this everywhere. It's very easy to see.
Drew, just real quick, please. Oh my God, Drew, send me a clip of one of the videos and we'll watch it on screen if you'd like.
And you have to prove that it's not a deepfake AI as well, also. And I'm going to need the birth certificate of the guy, and it's got to be better than Obama's, because we didn't trust that one either. Remember, go for it.
This is retarded.
I agree. Thank you. Yes, I agree, King.
No. It's retarded to bring up birth certificates or whatever. There's literal footage of
there was footage of Renee Goodman as well, but we can't agree on that either.
There's photographs of Will Stancil, the famous Twitter guy, just chasing after ICE agents in his car and just blowing
photographs there were photographs of documents that were classified strewn across the floor of Mar-a-Lago. We don't believe in that either. So why should I believe in any of these photographs?
Okay, can I back up to estimating the
one quick. Drew, go ahead. Keep going, Drew.
They are trying to use completely ancillary points to just bog down the debate, bog down the whole thing. They can't admit.
Isn't that frustrating when people can't agree on reality, and so you can't actually have a conversation about literally anything? That's got to suck.
The whole question is, oh wow, Trump lied
about everything. About 6 months ago, Trump 6 seconds ago. If Trump is breathing, he's lying.
Oh wow! Trump has exaggerated statements in the past. Therefore, a state of civil unrest in the state of Minnesota is justified. That's your argument. It's retarded. That's a retarded
If Renee
argument.
Good being a terrorist is your opinion, man, then a state of civil unrest, that's just your opinion, man.
We haven't even said Renee Good is a terrorist. We haven't said anything like that. We're simply talking about.
He's the one who's going to have to make an evaluation for whether or not he should invoke the Insurrection Act.
There is There's demonstrated evidence of far left groups going around harassing ICE agents in the state of Minnesota right now, and you can't defend that.
Which far left group?
You know as well as I do that there are amorphous groups. And
Name one.
There are amorphous groups. We all know that, Destiny.
Name one. What group? No.
Wow. So it needs to have
oh my God. They need to have a name.
Okay.
This is retarded. Sorry, this is obviously retarded. I mean,
hold on, all of you, please.
We all know.
Drew, give me a minute. Give me a minute, Drew. Drew, give me a minute.
Let me finish my point.
I will in a second, but you gotta let me do some housekeeping here. If you guys keep yelling over each other,
I was cut off, and
I know you were cut off. I'm going to give you the mic as soon as I say this. I'm going to give you the mic back as soon as I say this.
Sure.
But I'm just reminding everyone, if we're going to yell over each other, if we're going to talk over each other constantly, no one can hear anything. But we do got to kind of try to get order in this court, and we do got to want to go and answer each other's questions when they are asked. So, Drew, you have the mic again. You've claimed there's civil unrest. Give us your argument, and then we'll talk about it.
We all know that these kinds of anarchist groups don't have, formal charters. They don't have, they're not as organized. For example, Oh, this is just retarded. Destiny is literally retarded. Destiny is a cuck. He has been cucked so many times. His wife divorced him because he's a cuck. And he is a terrible father. And his own son attests to the fact that Destiny is one of the worst fathers of all time.
Go back
So
to
it's just embarrassing.
Go back to the unnamed
I-
mystery group. Go ahead. Tell us, Drew.
I was actually going to.
Quick, China's coming to take you again, Drew, for the 50th time. China's coming to abduct you. Give us more of the unnamed groups, Drew. Go.
This is completely retarded. I was actually going to avoid personal attacks against Destiny, but he actually put a sign behind it that said "Hang Drew."
Played soundboards.
Destiny actually put up a sign behind it that said Drew Pavlou should hang himself. So obviously this isn't a good faith debate. This is just retarded.
Wait, what?
And yeah, Destiny's just retarded.
Somebody donated that. Sorry, that is pretty funny though, and you should.
Come on. Okay, come on.
Can I back up to how do we
go ahead, Nicholas? Please save us.
Because the thing is if you had 30 million illegal immigrants come, right, and they aren't registered in like your regular population figures, they are going to show up in either the economic output figures or they're going to show up in welfare or something, right? So you can that's how they make estimates, right?
Destiny.
No, let Nicholas finish. Let Nicholas finish.
Okay.
Let Nicholas finish. Okay.
And so this is something of a conspicuous omission. I have not seen anything, remotely alleging that many immigrants. I tend to believe the estimates of how many legal immigrants there are out there, and that's why I'm inclined to think that not only is there aren't 30 million illegal immigrants here right now, there's certainly not 30 million that came in a 4-year period. It would have shown up in economic outcomes, and it hasn't.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to accept that. So what's the most accurate figure you've seen?
It's around 10 million.
Okay.
And it varies, but because people cross back and forth, there's considerable especially in the agricultural sector. But people come here, they work a few years, they go back home because this is higher paying, but you're away from family or whatnot, and you go back home. And that's that.
So significant error bars, but centered around
I would not say that there are significant error bars, and I really have to push back against that.
Okay. Yeah. So you think the estimates are pretty good?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. I just want to flag, I doubt this is how things are actually going to go, mainly because I don't think Destiny will let them go that way. But I agree with Decker that the more interesting way we could spend this time is having the substantive debate about the merits of immigration. But whatever you guys want to do.
Yeah, just to be clear, for my point to be clear, right? This is not an adult conversation when conservatives aren't capable of.
Well, you're the one who literally.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You went in here, Destiny. Destiny went in here with a
Hold
sign
on.
that said "Hang
Drew.
I just want to talk.
Let Destiny go for a little bit, and then you can respond. I promise.
Destiny, does it make you feel sad that your ex-wife fucked another man? And
Okay.
Does it make you feel bad that
Okay, enough.
your ex-wife literally fucked other men? That's pretty sad.
Drew, I'm gonna mute you.
He's going really hard on me. He's going really hard. Can you save me?
Destiny.
Thank you. Okay.
Go ahead.
So conservatives have lost the right to have a serious conversation about anything related to immigration when they lie about almost every single subject that is related to this topic. It is deeply unserious to me that a conservative would throw a fit when you're trying to discuss anything and they just lie about anything related to the topic. So if you're going to say 30 million people came in illegally, right? 30 million people come in illegally.
He never said that.
Donald Trump said that.
Okay, that's not what Hamish said. That you're debating us right now, not Donald Trump.
I'm talking about the United States of America, okay? The country that you prayed every day that you were from, okay? And I know you're mad that you have to be in your fucking shithole in Australia, but so I'm talking about the United States. The United States of America right now, Donald Trump is the president.
You're debating us, not Donald Trump. You're not debating Donald Trump. You're debating us.
That's fine. I don't care whether I'm debating Donald Trump or his cum socks. I'm having a conversation about U.S. policy right now, and Donald Trump is the president, okay? So for Donald Trump and the conservatives to lie about every single topic peripheral to immigration, and then to try to come to the table and say, well, now we need to have a serious fact-based discussion related to whether or not we can invoke the Insurrection Act. There's no reason to trust this administration to responsibly wield any kind of power like that, irrespective of the fact that they've already lost on multiple court cases with their forcible deployment of the National Guard to other states, with their deployment of the Marines to California, with their inability to accept any of the state's autonomies with how they want to do any of their local policing. Like, why would I trust this administration? The lies are just one part of it. Why would I trust this administration when they can't engage with the fact of the matter, or literally anything, to responsibly wield any kind of federal deployment related to the Insurrection Act? It's nonsense to me. That's not a serious conversation.
And to translate that a little bit, and this is to Hunter and to Drew, how can the public trust this administration to wield their power correctly?
And let me wait, and then they can both answer. But just to add to that, so it seemed like a joke earlier when I was asking what groups. Donald Trump and the rest of the conservatives have said for a decade that there are mass paid agitators and paid protesters, and they claim that Renee Good was part of one of these paid groups. If these groups are fictitious and they don't even exist, and if Donald Trump has taken the exceptional step to use an executive order for the first time that I'm aware of in U.S. history to label a domestic group a terrorist organization, Antifa or whatever, why would I trust him to send in any kind of insurrection acted authorities to go after who? I don't know who he's going to go after. The Democratic Party, liberals in general, or who? Yeah, that's...
You got to let him answer. Okay,
yeah,
we're going to go to Hunter, then we're going to go to Drew, and then we'll see what they have to say. Go ahead, Hunter.
Yeah, so on the groups issue, this is from Reuters. This is with respect to Renee Good. Good was active as a volunteer in a network of neighborhood patrols comprising hundreds of community members and organized by local activists to track, monitor, and record ICE operations in Minneapolis. According to Michelle Gross, president of the Minnesota-based Community United Against Police Brutality, and she was a paralegal for the National Lawyers Guild, which is effectively a leftist activist organization. You can think it's a legitimate one, but it is one. So yes, there absolutely are groups, and like her job was to work for one of these, so she was paid. One of the organizers of the church storming, right, that happened.
Don't go to the church storming.
Was also like a paid member of an activist nonprofit. So yes, absolutely, these people are being paid as members of these NGOs, and these are organizing the anti-ICE activities that are interfering with federal law enforcement very intentionally. So yes, I mean, if you want to, you can argue about whether the term terrorist is appropriate for an organized group of people who do have paid members who disrupt federal law enforcement, but the substance is there. Yeah, absolutely.
So the claim is that they are being... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I just wanted to submit that I think to be a terrorist, one should have to commit terrorism, which generally involves, terrorism. So
what's your definition of terrorism?
Like
some kind of armed attack against a civilian population that's designed to incite terror in the civilian population.
Following people around and blowing whistles, not terrorism.
Well, attacking churches is generally an act that instills terror in a civilian population.
Right. I mean, the case is reasonable for the church invasion, and also, as we established earlier, there have been snipers, right? Like this is.
There literally have been sniper attacks, sniper terrorist attacks on ICE across the country.
The one who killed the two immigrants?
Yeah, accidentally. Does that make it better?
That was a terrorist attack. He was trying to kill ICE agents.
It was a very foolish idea to shoot into a car with tinted windows. You never know what you're going to hit.
Yes, he was trying to kill ICE agents, obviously.
Yeah. I love the way that Decker is very carefully walking right up to the edge of the things he can say. I appreciate that.
Yeah, because it's obvious that Nicholas Decker wants to say that the ICE agent should have been shot.
Is that... Hold on, Nicholas, is that what you want to say?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not what he wants to say.
Nice dog whistle, bro. Nice dog whistle.
No, I appreciate it. Like, and this is something I said before we were all on the call, but the thing I appreciate about Decker is that he takes principles to their logical conclusions. So, I get it. I get it, man.
Yeah.
Drew?
Yeah, I'm not sure of how the next administration should deal with members of ICE. I think that losing track of them in Manchuria would be impractical and bad. But I do think that they should pursue federal charges against the worst offenders. And
you should.
Pretty.
I think it would actually be a productive discussion whether Destiny and Nicholas should explain what they think that the next Democratic administration should do to ICE.
Do you remember when John, right before, what did John do right before he quit the Nice Watch? I'm trying to remember.
ICE individuals as well.
I think that they should prosecute crimes. I think they should prosecute the crimes committed. And they should also allow state agencies to to go after them.
Is it a crime to enforce routine migrant? Is it a crime to enforce routine deportations of illegal immigrants? It is obviously like a misdemeanor offense to illegally immigrate to America.
It's not a crime, no.
What are the crimes that you think have been committed?
It is a crime to kill somebody, and it is a crime to deprive somebody of their civil rights. That's the term for excessive force, essentially.
Okay,
Also,
excessive force would be irrelevant, but like killing somebody is not in all contexts
routine, right?
crime.
Why do we keep lying with that? Why do we keep saying routine?
By virtue of two people talking, I could understand nothing that was said.
Okay, so Destiny's asking. Hold on, let me clarify. Destiny's asking, why should we consider this routine? This is not routine. What would the response be to that?
Yeah, I mean, the wave of illegal immigration that happened under Biden was also not routine, and it's going to take something not equally non-routine to reverse it.
How's that working out?
Pretty well. I mean, America has net negative immigration for the first time in, I don't know what, decades.
So wasn't it net negative for the first time under the last 4 years of Obama?
The number of illegal immigrants here did drop, starting through Obama.
Yeah, so that was wrong. But another fact on your guys'
No, I mean, net negative total immigration.
This is not due to enforcement policy, but it was due to the Great Recession. The best way to lower illegal immigration is to make the United States poorer so that people don't want to come here and work.
But it hasn't become poorer. It's actually growing at a pretty fast clip right now.
No,
that's the thing. GDP growth is amazing right now. So
yeah, and our currency is devalued by like 10 to 15%.
Okay,
I mean, this is real GDP
devaluations. Sorry. Okay, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Okay.
That was all.
I do want to ask. This is to Destiny and to Nicholas. Do you both think that it was appropriate for the ICE protesters to go into that church and disrupt the services there? So Nicholas says
absolutely not. It was worse than a crime. It was a mistake, as Talleyrand would say. But that's basically my view on it.
Would you support them being prosecuted for that?
Yes, I mean, it would depend on the crimes they're being charged with. I think there are some crimes that would be definitely too excessive. I think that hate crimes or like conspiracy to commit hate crimes would be a stretch. I'm not a lawyer though. At a minimum, trespassing is like a very easy thing here, and it's like very obviously trespassing. So should evict and sue.
What do you think, Destiny? Of Don Lemon and the protesters going into the church, do you think that they were wrong to do so? Do you support them in doing so? What are your thoughts on the different styles of protests that have been going on?
Don Lemon went into a church?
So
not him personally.
About 20 different protesters. They went into a church that
I don't know.
allegedly...
I don't have an opinion. I'm hearing this for the first time. I don't have an opinion on it. Sorry.
Oh, fair enough. No opinion on it and things like that. I guess overall, do you think that the protesters have gone too far at all from what you've seen?
No, I haven't heard any examples of that, so I'm not sure.
Okay. They attacked the church, for example. They attacked the church.
I haven't heard anything about that. Sorry, I haven't heard anything about that, so I'm not sure. I can't really have an opinion on it.
It was one of the most high-profile incidents of civil unrest in Minnesota.
No, I haven't heard anything about that.
We're debating civil unrest in Minnesota.
Sorry, I haven't heard anything about that. I'm sorry, unfortunately.
Okay, well, now you have. Fair-minded observers can obviously look at this and see that you're not engaging in good faith.
Just because I haven't heard about it?
Oh, it's obvious that you have heard about it, but you're just trolling.
How am I because I haven't heard about a thing? What, I'm supposed to keep up with every single story that's ever happened in all of US politics?
We're debating civil unrest in Minnesota, and this was the most high-profile incident of civil unrest over the past few days. It was extremely viral on Twitter, which you use all the time.
Oh, interesting. Wait, so then was the ICE agent that killed Renee, was his car stuck in an ice bank?
Exactly, you're just trolling.
Oh, yeah, you see how unfortunate that is? How fucking retarded you are? How called the fuck out you just were? Because you have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. Your memory is selective and you won't engage with the facts. Isn't that frustrating right there? The honest take on the church thing is, here's my questions. One, because I did watch the videos around this. Did anybody ever call the cops to get the people removed or tell them to leave? I don't remember seeing it or hearing it. If they told them to leave and they didn't leave, my understanding is churches are private property, so you can arrest for trespassing. I hope that if they do get arrested for trespassing, the governor pardons every single one of them, like Donald Trump pardoned every single one of the fucking insurrectionists on January 6th, so that they can walk free and go and fucking do it again with no consequence. But if they were asked to leave and they didn't, then they would have broken a crime and they should be charged for it. And then the governor should pardon them immediately after so they could do it again. Just like comes with all the case fixers.
I don't think the governor should pardon them. It's for starters, it's like at most community service. At most, generally trespassing is you can't go back to this place. You know, if you do go back to this place, you will like actually get arrested and actually possibly have consequences. But a first-time trespassing, it's basically never any consequences at all. Frankly, nor should be, because the point of trespassing is we need you to leave. You know, this is your very serious warning. Go away.
Do you have any thoughts on this, Hunter? Otherwise, I have another question for the panel.
Okay.
Oh no, it's you know, I think I don't feel much of a need to respond to most of the things Destiny says, because I think it's just very obvious to everybody who's going to be watching that he is not a good faith conversation participant. And one of my followers, when this conversation was announced, was like, "Oh God, get Destiny out of there." And for the record, this follower of mine agrees more with Decker's position and their position than
I feel like we can actually debate Decker.
You know, yeah, absolutely. I think we could, again, as I've said multiple times, have an interesting conversation on the merits of immigration, both legal and illegal. But yeah,
you
given
how
that
can you
is
have that?
obviously
You guys,
not going to.
You can't
yeah,
even have.
No, I know.
You don't agree with any
I know
of the
what you're
facts.
going to do. Yeah, I know. But yeah, you can go ahead and ask your next question.
Okay, well, here's a question on the merits of immigration. Regardless of how you feel about immigrants coming to the country or not, do you acknowledge that it's not really factually disputed that immigrants coming to your country, even illegal immigrants, are both a net fiscal benefit or neutral at worst, and then an economic boon for the area where they illegally immigrate to? Do you guys acknowledge that?
Not
No,
all
there
immigrants.
are plenty of examples
Exactly. It's
where
fucking
immigrants
stupid.
are
There's
not
plenty of
like a net
examples?
fiscal benefit. Yes, obviously.
Hold on,
We
wait.
can-
Are you? Hold on. This is a simple IQ check. Wait. This is a simple IQ check. If I were to tell you most women are shorter than most men, would your response be, "Well, that's crazy because I know a tall woman"? Why would you say something so obviously fucking stupid? I'm saying on the net, even illegal immigrants tend to be a fiscal benefit to neutral effect, and they're an economic boon. On net, I'm not asking you about a specific illegal immigrant that you know or a specific example. Just on
Immigrants from first world countries are typically very productive. Immigrants from third world countries are typically unproductive.
No, that's not even true. You don't even know what productive or unproductive means. You have no fucking idea.
Obviously, I mean, the fiscal impact obviously depends on like the broad category of immigrants. So immigrants with a high school education or less into the United States specifically, if we just want to look at the U.S. context, are somewhat of a net fiscal negative, right?
How?
To be clear, for context, most citizens are net fiscal negatives because we run
absolutely.
Yes, I agree. That's true. Nicholas is right.
Hold on, but when you say most citizens are fiscal negative, right? Most illegal immigrants that are coming in, your worst fiscal years of your life. So because I know that Drew and Ash or whatever, Ketchum, don't know. It's children and old people. Correct. Fiscal means your government budgets, right? An illegal immigrant that comes in at the age of 18, you're stealing this person from another country, basically at prime working age. So you've missed out on that entire 18-year investment early on. So typically when they come in, and also because they don't have access to welfare because they typically work on social security numbers. It depends.
It depends. If you look at
Britain
and Denmark,
Drew, what does net mean? What is net? Net. N-E-T. Net.
You're actually extremely obnoxious. You can't even have an intellectual
because you're extremely retarded.
If you look at Britain and Denmark, there are studies that show that migration from third world countries typically has massive fiscal downsides because, on the whole, they have fiscal burdens on the state. And we look at, for example, the Somali community in Minnesota is 100% a fiscal net negative on the United States.
Denmark and Britain are not suitable comparisons to the United States for any question of net fiscal benefits because they have considerably more generous welfare states.
True, but Minnesota has a more... That is true. That is true. I agree with you on that. Nicholas. But Minnesota does have more generous welfare provisions than, for example, other states. And we know, for example, that the Somali community...
You're so not American. Oh my God.
It's true, though. It is true. And yeah, de facto. And Minnesota, unfortunately, did see systematic basically looting by the Somali community in the state of Minnesota.
Yeah.
And as for how illegal immigrants collect welfare, beyond states that have gone out of their way to sort of provide their own systems that provide welfare benefits to people regardless of immigration status, also illegal headed households collect welfare at higher rates than both legal immigrants and not, native-born citizens, right? Because their children, based on the doctrine of birthright citizenship, are citizens, and they collect welfare for those children at substantially higher rates than either legal immigrants or citizens. So, you can say, oh, that's not the illegal immigrants themselves collecting the welfare, it's their children who are citizens or whatever, but obviously that's still relevant to the question of immigration, whether we want these people here.
I guess the question I have, right, is regardless of whether you like immigration or not, right, I guess the question at hand isn't really about immigration, though. It's about how we enforce it and whether or not in Minnesota they are obstructing enforcement, and if that is sufficient reason to invoke the Insurrection Act. So I'm just.
I get.
So go ahead,
Nicholas. I guess I'm sort of like willing to change the topic to the question of immigration, just because I view the question of invoking the Insurrection Act as just so willfully stupid that I would think less of anyone who argued for it. And so there's nothing like really to discuss. You can either say that like there's an insurrection going on in Minneapolis. You can say things. That doesn't make it true. So a much more interesting thing is then to like discuss, okay, I have a few points related to immigration that I wanted to get out while I have the floor. First off, fiscal benefits is not necessarily the right thing to look at, right? Because there is uncaptured consumer surplus, and we're actually like trying to maximize welfare, not government revenues. So even finding if there's small fiscal negative or even a somewhat large fiscal negative, if you compare them to other people in the country and the amount of the surplus they're creating, it's still better to have them in. Secondly, I firmly believe that there are increasing returns to aggregate population, and I would really challenge my interlocutors to come up with sound micro foundations for why you would have decreasing or even constant returns to scale in a modern economy. And I also think that a pattern of immigration enforcement that is just characterized by a weird hostility to immigrants is likely going to I think the elasticity of relatively well-to-do first world immigrants to like cultural hostility is much greater than the elasticity of third world of developing country immigrants, right? So I think that if you like have a much more rhetorically hostile environment for immigrants, I think that is going to deter the English-speaking immigrants, and it's going to do much less deterrence of non-English speaking immigrants. So I think this is in fact a self-defeating policy to be extremely hostile.
Hey, Drew.
We've lost people because of this.
Yeah, I want to.
I want to give off deserves,
Yeah, I want to give a chance for Drew and Hunter to respond to that. So go ahead.
Go ahead.
Sure. So if you don't mind if I go first, like these are substantive points that can be responded to. And so yes, you're correct. First of all, no contest on the claim of superlinear returns of population, all else held equal, and that's sort of a big caveat. But yeah, I don't have any objection to that. You're also right that somebody's impact on state budgets does not capture their entire economic impact. But even if you show that essentially that subsidizing these people has had some sort of like pro-growth effect, you would have to go further and show that this is the most effective way for the state to deficit spend even more to grow the economy, since that's essentially what we're doing. If we bring somebody in and then subsidize, net subsidize their existence here, that is a form of government deficit spending that to grow the economy. And you would have to argue that this is the most effective way to do that. But I do want to get to this really quick. I think the biggest issue in terms of how immigration is likely to impact economic growth going into the future is how people vote, right? If you look at pretty much any issue that's economically relevant, the most of the people that are immigrating are going to be relatively more socialist than the current population, and that will have really negative impacts on economic growth over the long time, much deeper impacts than whatever their personal contribution is. And that is my biggest issue with immigration.
I have a question on that, if I may just elaborate.
Let's see Destiny's response to that. Destiny was shaking his head, so I'd like to see his response.
No, that was just such a retarded point. I don't even know.
So
I would have to take like 5 shots in order to actually respond substantively to that point.
I'm in agreement with Hunter on the question of like immigrant voting behavior being the main constraint on open borders. So like Garrett Jones, for example, makes this argument. But the conclusion of Garrett Jones is actually we should have open borders with China. Actually, we should have open borders with Western Europe. Perhaps we should have open borders with Eastern Europe. And I think that those are all much better policies and would result in a much greater net flow of immigrants than anything proposed. And I think that I guess we haven't actually got to the hostility point mattering.
Aside
I've got a response to that.
Go ahead.
I mean, Nicholas, you know as well as I do that the Somali community in Minnesota the Somali community in Minnesota has been the recipient of very strong rhetorical support from the Democrat local and state officials in that state. And it's really only been like the last year or two that they've been coming into massive attack by, for example, the federal authorities. But prior to that, even despite having massive
that's just not true. Why are you saying that? All the investigations into the Biden DOJ, these charges were filed in 2023. What do you?
You can distinguish rhetoric and.
You actually misheard me, Destiny. I'm talking about so the point is Nicholas is talking about rhetoric from politicians creating a hostile environment towards immigrants, and I'm saying that there's actually been a very positive environment towards, for example, Somali migrants in the state of Minnesota under the Democrats, and that still did not, for example, stop them from engaging in quite systematic behavior, for which Destiny points out led to major charges by Democratic authorities in 2023.
No, Mr. Pavlou, you've totally misunderstood what I'm saying. I'm saying that the largely English-speaking, like immigrants from Western Europe, are much more put off by anti-immigrant rhetoric generally than your immigrants from developing countries. So
I mean that's true. I actually agree with you on that point.
Okay. Cool.
Actually, I agree with you on that point, and I actually think you are right that if you had basically open borders with first world people from Western Europe, then that would work well. To be honest, it actually would.
Sure.
The major problem is people coming from extremely poor countries with very low trust, trust society, really poor countries.
Then the second, what follows up here is the general thuggishness and the general thuggishness and stupidity of ICE is going to change the relative composition of immigrants towards the people who you don't want. So I think
so just so I understand your argument is that because of the anti-immigrant rhetoric coming out of Trump and the MAGA, and also the behavior of ICE to brutalize people, are pushing away first world immigrants and attract and not having any effect on immigrants from developing countries. Is that your argument?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Because
I think there's actually something to be said for that. I think you're actually right about that.
Actually, I think that it's an interesting story, but has that been empirically borne out at all? I mean, the southern border crossings are at historic lows. It really does seem like the deterrent effect has worked on third world immigrants. As for your, I think I can sort of, I know where you're coming from in terms of the sort of Robin Hanson-esque immigration maximalism and how voting's the main constraint of that. And obviously we're not going to institute a UAE style, sort of permanent surf caste situation to handle immigration in a way that doesn't impact, electoral outcomes. But yeah, I mean, my only concern with open borders with China, mainland China, would be the obvious security risk. But as far as, a much more lenient immigration policy towards towards Europe, right, and maybe even towards like. Yeah. Granted, these places aren't, they're hardly producing surplus people, so I don't know how many would come. But certain like Pacific Asian countries that have proven themselves to be highly compatible, like Taiwan, Japan, Korea. Yeah, I'm open to that. I'm not like in principle against all immigration.
Yeah, before we go too, just real quick.
Can I say one thing?
I'll give the mic to you. I promise. Okay.
Yeah.
But before we go too far down that route, I want to kind of bring it back a little bit towards ICE in general, right? I understand that Nicholas here doesn't want to talk about the Insurrection Act, so fair enough. But we're going to talk about ICE in general, and this is to Drew and to Hunter here. Do you think that the behavior of ICE in Minneapolis, or just in general, has been at all acceptable?
So I want to respond to this. I quickly wanted to address that previous point made by Hunter. I actually think that you could essentially have almost open borders with countries that are above 0.9 on the HDI, and it would probably be fine. If you're basically just talking about like first world industrialized developed countries with high trust backgrounds, you could probably. I mean, Australia could have open
so
borders.
Wordy. You're so wordy. Just say countries with white people. Could you just say what you mean?
No, because
so much wasted
that's
talking.
literally not
Asian,
what
white and Asian. Sorry.
No, that's literally not even what I was going to say, because I was going to say Australia could literally have open borders with Japan, and I don't think there'd be a single problem with that probably.
Sorry. What is Japan? Not white or Asian? I forget. Weeb or what do you call it?
It's an East Asian country, obviously, but it's not actually about race. It's about whether it's a high trust society and whether it's a developed society, and whether we have cultural similarities. So there are three points to that. The second part, do I agree with every single thing that ICE has done? I actually disagree with a lot of the things. I think that they shouldn't go around in masks, and I think that they should have identifiable name badges, and the operations that they go should be a lot more, by the book. I think they should be subject to the rule of law, and they shouldn't be going around with masks and stuff like that. That said, I acknowledge the role that far left agitators have played in obviously inciting a lot of fear. There have been direct physical attacks on ICE agents, and I can understand why that creates a lot of tension, and it puts a lot of heat into the equation.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
Please.
Oh, okay. I was just going to say that, like, as I'd take a harder position than Drew here, actually. I think that the masks are justified by the fact that obviously these people would dox ICE agents and then try to make their lives as uncomfortable as possible, whether they would do that through technically legal means or, all the way up to, actual violent crimes that would be committed against them. I don't think there's any serious doubt that people
how many
would be willing to...
Hold on, wait. Just as a quick thing. This is why I'm just playing video games, and this is a deeply unserious conversation, because he's going to say no to this. Would you agree that Donald Trump, when he gives the name of family members of, say, like a judge presiding on his case, that's a thing that could severely elevate the risk to those people?
Has that happened?
I disagree with Trump.
That's why this is a deeply unserious conversation. It's just not a serious.
Well, I was just going to say, I'll let you just straight up say, I think that's wrong if Trump does that, and if he has done in the past, I'll condemn it. I don't think that's right.
Cool. You don't know. You never heard about that, though, right? This is why I haven't heard about the other thing. Whatever you're talking about, ICE agents.
No. I'm sure.
Really? That actually happened? That's crazy. I've heard.
I'm sure that Trump has
lemon in a Christian church. Really? I don't know anything about that.
I was actually agreeing with Destiny, but he's just being obnoxious. Because I actually don't. I'm not 100%. I don't agree with every single thing that Trump has ever said or done. So there are obviously cases where he intimidated legal officials, and I think that's wrong.
Would you, here, let me step in a little bit here.
Debating conservatives is like giving your little brother or sister the controller that's not plugged in. Like, this is just an like, you're talking about corruption.
You're literally not even arguing.
Yeah, because you
literally haven't made a single substantive point.
Okay, so question. You're worried about. Okay, here's
there actually has been a substantive discussion between Hunter, me, and Nicholas. Just Destiny's just for some. He's not even involved in the conversation.
So you're worried about corruption in the United States or something. That's why you're worried about unbounded immigration from China or whatever. Are you worried about the fact that the president of the United States has a crypto coin that allows people to donate to him without any trace?
I think the crypto coin's bad.
Worse than anything else that's been done in terms of open access corruption to the president that we know of in recent U.S. history.
Mm-hmm. I just said to you that I think the crypto coin's bad.
I didn't ask if it was bad. I said, is it worse than any corruption that a president has been involved? Very bad? Listen to how fucking spineless and pucky your language is. Very bad? I'm asking you the worst thing that a president has done.
It doesn't.
Strongly disagree.
Then,
oh my God!
It doesn't then justify Somali community in Minnesota engaging.
No,
in
but it does justify. It does.
Which is essentially your argument. Which is essentially your argument.
In the conversation, because you don't have the best interest
your argument
in corruption in mind. It's just partisan hackery. You're using topics that you can do to attack whatever brown people or whatever Democrats you want, but you don't actually give a fuck about the topics. Because if I were to search your Twitter, it's going to be totally fucking empty in terms of criticizing the rampant corruption that this administration has been involved in. You can't find a single piece of corruption that would be worse in all, or combined pieces that would be worse than single pieces of corruption that I could bring up. What about the fact that Donald Trump's son his company got a $700 million contract from the DOD? What about all the stuff related to Palantir? What about the 2 crypto scams that Donald Trump is running? What about the fact that in Mar-a-Lago, if you were part of the top 25 donors, there's crypto coin, you got a sit-down meeting with the president of the United States. None of these things are things you care about, but you go, well, for immigration, we care about Somalis because there was an organization that did $105 billion in fraud. You don't care about it. You just hate them because they're brown or whatever the fuck political talking point you've got. That's it. It's not a serious conversation.
I do think the fraud in Minnesota pales in comparison to the organized looting of the Treasury by disabled veterans. So I think that we should fight the real enemy here.
Disabled
veterans? And not Somalis. Yes.
Okay.
They are.
No, I know it.
I
know what Decker's talking about here. Yeah.
Well, I have a.
Yeah, no, I mean, so like the thing is obviously like, you know,
hold on, just real quick, Hunter, real quick,
okay,
just real quick. Like, so, I mean, just to back up Destiny a little bit here, even though he's obviously not taking it as seriously as he should.
I did. It's a serious question.
Let me. Yeah, I'm asking you. I'm making them answer your question. Like, there has been huge proven fraud from President Donald Trump. And why, like, I guess, why should voters care about the Somali stuff when we have President Trump, if those things that he said was true, looting the Treasury through crypto coin, pay to play, basically, saying the top 25 donors get access, having his son get a $700 million contract, the bribery from Qatar of $600 million plane. Like, this is to Hunter, just real quick, Nicholas. I want Hunter to answer, right? Like, why should anyone care about what Somali's doing when the president's doing that?
I mean, I see that as essentially a non sequitur. Like, if you can point to any instance where these things have been connected to policy changes that have been bad for the United States, right? Like somebody paid us to do some policy.
Do you think
that's
it's bad that the president's
States.
doing these things? Like, bad for the United States overall?
I mean, I would have to look into every individual instance of this to see if the facts are being characterized correctly. But the crypto coin is
shameless,
stupid,
bro. Oh my God, you have no shame. You're like not even human. It's like a snake, like slithering through the fucking guard. You're crazy. If I had looked into any of these individual instances of fraud, I'm not sure anything. I bet that if I were to hold a gun to your head and give you a picture, a blank piece of paper, and I were to tell you to draw from memory the bottom of Hunter Biden's cock, I bet you'd be able to do it. But you don't know anything about some of the most rampant corruption that has ever existed in all of U.S. history, and you're living through it, and you don't know the details on any of it. You're clueless. It just shows you don't care about the corruption. That's it. Like, it's a super simple thing. Like, how could you pretend to care about corruption and not know any of these stories? It's because you don't care about corruption. It's because it's a partisan hackery bullshit point.
It's funny that you bring up I think it's funny that you bring up the charge of partisan bullshit hackery when Destiny the entire time in this debate has basically been resorting to full Carl Schmitt friend-enemy distinction politics. And essentially all of Destiny's politics are just Carl Schmitt friend-enemy distinction politics.
Name one.
Name one? I mean, you literally started the debate with a big portrait behind your head that said, Drew Pavlou, hang yourself because I've got a disagreement with you.
You're not, first of all, that's a dono that comes from a fan, number one. Okay, number two, that's not politics. That's just me making fun of you because you're somebody who should be made fun of. So name one policy.
No,
you said that I made partisan
I'll give you actually good point. You said that every single person who invaded the church should be pardoned simply because they're Democrats. Simply because
that's not partisan. That's literally symmetry. What do you mean?
No,
Donald
that's
Trump
that's
pardoned all of the
that is
J6
literally.
people.
Are
No,
you
wait,
retarded? Are you
wait,
friend?
hold on.
That's
Didn't
literally
Donald
that's
Trump pardon
literally Carl
every
Schmitt.
single?
That's literally Schmittian friend enemy distinction policy. You're saying because Trump did something bad, my friend should get
Wait,
anything.
whoa,
Hold on,
whoa,
just
wait,
hold on,
you're
just real
doing-
quick.
Pardon?
Uh,
you're
I
doing
thought
friend
pardoning
enemy
was a legal
distinction
thing. My bad.
Just-
Is it illegal to
just real
pardon
quick.
people now?
So,
My bad.
Fred, as I
You're doing
understand
friend
friend
enemy
enemy
distinction
distinction politics, just real quick, as I understand, and perhaps I'm wrong and you can correct me, but as I understand friend enemy distinction politics isn't that they did something so now we have to do something. It's
That's
these are
literally-
my
but
friends
that
and
is-
my allies. Just real
Destiny-
quick, let me finish. It's,
Yeah,
these are
yeah.
my friends and my allies, so I'm going to make sure that I'm going to overlook the things that they do that is wrong, and
Which
I'm
is
going
what
to give
Destiny
them
did
things.
about the church.
And then
that's exactly what
No,
what
it's
Destiny
not.
said.
In order for that to be
about
true,
the
it would
church
have to be me
invasion.
saying the J6 pardon was wrong, but we should do it on our side because it's right. That's the friend enemy distinction you're talking about.
That's
For me to say,
that's
well, they
basically
did
what you
this,
did.
so we should do
That's
the same
literally-
thing because it's the same
retard,
thing.
that's
We're not making a decision. I'm saying
you
you're
literally did
so
that.
mad.
You
Listen to
literally
you,
did that.
Drew.
You
Drew,
literally said-
listen to
you
how
literally
mind
said
raped
because
you
of
are right
Jan
now.
6.
Drew, right
You
now you're
said-
saying that
Destiny,
I'm being partisan
you
because
said
I'm saying we
because
should
of
play
Jan
by the
6.
same rules that the
You
Republicans
said
play by.
because of Jan
That's how
6,
mind raped
every
you are
single
right now.
person, every single person
Your mind
in the church
raped.
invasion
Every
should
time
be-
you speak,
should be
I hear.
hold on, let Drew finish.
So-
Let Drew
so
finish.
that is-
Drew, go ahead.
It is literally friend enemy distinction policy. You said that because Trump pardoned Jan 6 rioters, therefore Democratic governments should pardon any single leftist involved in rioting. That is what
I
you
didn't
just
say.
said.
What, did I say that? I just said for the church. Were there people rioting the church? Did anybody get hurt? Was there any property destruction?
I mean, there was an attack on people who were simply going about their.
Attack? Oh, so somebody
Okay,
injured.
really,
So somebody
Destiny,
injured?
stop
Somebody got killed?
stop the fucking audio
Well,
shit.
that's a Dono thing. I'm so
doesn't
sorry. I don't know how that
Okay, yeah, that cut that out.
I would like-
But I am curious because I don't know. Was anyone hurt at the church?
Was anybody injured there, Drew?
It
You said they were
doesn't matter if
attacking people. Oh, it doesn't
it
matter. The
doesn't-
facts
it
don't
doesn't matter.
matter,
It's-
Drew. The facts don't
they-
matter.
They went into a church that was in the middle of a sermon and they attacked the
Could you
service.
Can we,
survive
hold on,
They-
stop.
exclusively
Who was hurt?
completely-
I want to
they
know who was hurt.
Trump's loads or
No, I want to know who was hurt. I actually don't know, and I'm very
Drew's
curious.
feelings.
So because nobody was particularly stabbed in this incident. It's
No,
fine for
I'm
them
not
to
asking
attack.
stabbed.
You
Who was
said they were
hurt?
attacking-
Who was
It
hurt?
is an attack. They attacked the church sermon in the middle of the sermon.
Okay, what was destroyed? Like, did they flip tables?
It doesn't
did
need
they whip
to-
out
it
the
doesn't
money
need to be-
changers?
it
What
doesn't-
happened?
Jesus did
Wait,
more damage when he
wait.
went to the temples to flip the tables of the gamblers. You're
No,
fucking
no.
crazy,
Hold on,
bro.
Destiny,
You're so
please.
retarded.
I want to know
is
what
retarded.
happened here. What
This is retarded.
happened?
I agree.
They went into the middle of a church in the middle of a sermon and they disrupted the sermon. That was an attack on people enjoying their right to religious liberty.
I don't think that falls under the usual meaning of the word attack, which generally involves attacking. So
They disrupted a church service and basically violated the right to religious liberty of people who were going about their day as peaceful Christians. And so
Sure.
that was an attack on a religious service. They disrupted the service. It was an attack. And
are
Destiny
hecklers
basically
a
and Destiny
savage attack upon
Destiny-
stand-up comedians?
Destiny thinks. Oh, so you think it's just the equivalent of a stand-up comedian being heckled? It's a church sermon.
Hold on, do you think that?
in the middle of a sermon?
Do you think that,
Hey,
Nicholas? Do you
walk
think
in
it's
there and
a
you make a-
equivalent?
Okay, here's
Hey, you
how it's
walk in there, you make a
Here's
lot
how
of
it's
noise, you
bullshit.
make a fool
Here's
out of
how
yourself.
here's how
Can
it's
I ask a
bullshit.
serious
Here's how
question?
it's bullshit.
I'll ask Drew a question. A serious question. No,
let's
a serious question. So we can
I'm finishing my
understand.
point. I'm
Please,
finishing my point.
I'll ask. You can talk. You can talk. I just want to ask a question. You can do it. No, it's about this. It's about this. It'll be serious. Okay, I'm serious. Okay, just so we can understand what you consider attack. Let's say that a guy eats a fuck ton of just the most rancid beans ever, goes into a church full well knowing that he's about to unleash.
No, this is retarded.
Okay,
rank-
stop. Enough.
This is friend enemy. This actually is.
Stop.
This
Stop.
is
Destiny,
enemy.
stop.
Chemical
Destiny, stop.
terrorism.
Destiny, stop. Calm down.
This is legitimately friend enemy distinction politics, because if somebody had done that to a Muslim service, you would be crying. 100% you'd be crying. If Zohran Mamdani was in a mosque and there was a religious service and a bunch of Republicans went in and disrupted the service, you would say that this service had been attacked. So this is just
I
pure
would
friend
not.
enemy distinction
No,
politics. No, it is
No, I
friend
wouldn't.
enemy distinction politics. It certainly is.
No.
You would hate it. You would hate it if people disrupted a Muslim service that, say, Zohran was partaking in, but you're just fine. Because, you're fine though because it's a bunch of
Muslim
Christians.
lover in the United States. Destiny, that's me. Yeah.
This is silly.
No, but you would 100%
It is silly.
cry though.
I do want to bring this back to more
but this is true.
serious
If Republicans,
discussion,
if right wingers had attacked a Muslim service in the United States, both Nicholas and Destiny would condemn it.
Okay, I guess.
Not if attack means protest. I don't know what attack means right now
I would
in
not
your
describe
definition.
it,
Okay.
not describe it as attack. I would say it was obnoxious and a bad idea, as I have described the incident in Minneapolis.
If
I think it's
20
generally
if 20
obnoxious to go
if
protest
20
in
MAGA
front of
supporters
church.
if 20 MAGA supporters went into a Muslim service that was that Zaram Mamdani was a part of, it would be roundly condemned by every single person on the left. But because it was a Christian service and Christians are perceived to be your sort of like right-wing enemies, therefore you're fine with them being attacked like that.
I don't know what attacked like that. I mean, I don't know how they were attacked. I condemn anybody that wastes time going into a church. I'm an atheist. I think it's a waste of fucking time. So that's my position.
I don't
Go
know.
ahead,
Maybe I've
please.
seen more footage or something, but just I'm not even trying to make any particular point with this, but just so we have a clear narrative of what happened. Like a group of people went into a church during service. They got in people's faces. They screamed at them, and then when the parishioners fled, including a group of children, right there, you can watch clips of a group of kids walking out of a side door of the church because they were afraid. You can say they didn't have a reason to be, but they obviously were. Don Lemon is on camera saying, look, they're scared, but this is, the point of protest is to make people uncomfortable or whatever. So yes, they were.
Wait, just so I can understand what you just said. Don Lemon pointed at kids leaving a church and said, this is the point of these protests, to make those people scared. That sequence of events happens within 5 or 10 seconds?
You can go look it up. Go for it.
If you want to, you can give me the video of it, and you can give me the timestamp or whatever, and we can watch it. If that's what you want to do,
see.
We can. I'd absolutely do that.
How did they get into the church, by the way?
They just stormed the gates.
Oh, so they left the doors unlocked? Did they let him in? That kind of sounds like a guided tour.
Yeah, I mean, churches don't typically lock their doors. Like, come on, that's a really bad faith point, even for you.
Sounds like a tour to me. I don't know.
This is retarded because if people had done this to a synagogue or a mosque, Destiny would immediately see that it's wrong. But because it's Christians, he thinks it's funny.
I just don't know what even happened yet. I'm hearing attacked. I don't know if people were kicking the walls of the church. You said get in their face, so I don't know if somebody walked next to somebody. I don't know if you've been to church before, but you're typically pretty close together, so I'm just not sure what happened. And it seems like none of you have any fucking idea what happened either, so we're all just kind of on ground zero right here, I guess. Yeah. Based.
Okay. God. We
Next
have
question,
gone.
Wick?
Do you see how retarded this is? Wait, like there's no factual conversation. These guys don't care. They can't engage with reality. What are we talking? I don't know what we're talking about, right? They haven't seen any of the videos for any of these issues that they feel so strongly about. That's fucking retarded to me. And they're talking about invoking the Insurrection Act, and these cocksuckers would literally follow Trump to the end of the earth doing it without knowing any of the underlying facts involving what we're talking about invoking the Insurrection Act for. That's a deeply unserious joke position.
Like you could have made this point while engaging with their points as well. Though.
No, I'm not. Why would I engage with retards for a conversation that shouldn't be retarded?
Leave the call then, Destiny. We can have a discussion.
I'm triggering the fuck out of you. It's too much fun for me.
We were able to have a reasonable discussion with Nicholas.
No, you haven't had a reasonable discussion. You can't. You can't engage with any of the facts. You can pretend to. You can utter the words that are grammatically correct to make it seem like it.
You're screaming like an ape.
Oh, sorry. I'll stop screaming for you. I'll stop screaming just for you. Okay.
We've had an actual discussion with Nicholas Decker, and
oh, really? Tell me what the discussion was about. How much ground did you cover?
Much more ground than we've had with you.
I love you.
Okay, I want to give it to Nicholas. Nicholas, go ahead.
We found some points of agreement on there being increasing returns, and we've isolated the real cause of disagreement being over future voting behavior. Now, I think, to be honest, the correct response is for all of us to go back to our computers for 2 weeks, write down a model, calibrate the model, and then spit out, a solution, or at least like what are the bounds on assimilation, or whatever, that would be required for it to be net good and what would be required to be net bad. I actually wanted to back up about 20-30 minutes and just quickly note that I think a policy being like a net good is sufficient to argue for it being enacted, and it being not the optimal policy is only a very weak argument against it. Because a lot of times whatever the optimal policy is not like within the space of what is possible. So
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that point in like full abstraction, I agree with. And like, I also agree that I'll just speak for myself. the main issue for me is, voting is control of policy, essentially. Like if we lived in some society that somehow in a way that was impossible to interfere with or ever change was enforcing like, a basically like extremely libertarian framework on the country, then all of my objections to immigration would be much less.
I wouldn't very much want an extremely libertarian because I think because I believe there are increasing returns, I think that there's substantial underinvestment into research and development being the big one, and I also think there are very obviously incomplete insurance markets, and that there is in fact a lot of welfare spending that raises welfare.
I guess, yeah. To bring it back a little bit,
it's a conversation we can have.
Yeah, to bring it back a little bit though, I do want to talk about one of the recent allegations that have been made against ICE, and hopefully you guys have heard of this one. There has been a whistleblower who has claimed that ICE was secretly training, again, against DHS policy, that their ICE agents did not need a judicial warrant in order to go into homes and to break into homes and things like that. Do you have, well, I guess I'll just start here. Have you heard of that, those allegations, Hunter and Drew? Have you looked into that at all?
Yeah, vaguely. And like, I don't know how secret it is. And that like, I'm pretty sure that Vance has posted about the use of administrative versus judicial warrants. Yeah.
Do you think that administrative warrants are sufficient to satisfy the demands of the Fourth Amendment?
I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but at some point, like, the strategy here is obviously to bog things down in so much procedure that deportations can't happen at scale. So in this context, I support them. Now, if we hadn't had the Biden wave, right, if the scale of the work to be done wasn't so huge, then I'd be more interested in having a conversation about exactly how much process is relevant or useful in any given context. But yeah, I'm fine with them using administrative warrants.
Sure. So just to be clear, even if it does violate the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution, because of the context we are in, you are fine with violating that amendment because of Biden letting in all those illegals. You're fine with that. You're okay with it?
I don't know that it violates the Fourth Amendment
of the
Constitution.
Yes, it does.
Just assume it does for
I would assume. I think that's a reasonable position. I think that for generally most of the laws we have in the United States, I think that we should try to follow them as best we can. But in times of like emergency or crisis, I think that's the most important time to abandon as many of our civil rights as possible, especially if it's a president that I agree with. So I would generally agree with the position that he just laid forth. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you want me to assume that it's something that I don't think it is, then yeah, I mean, I think that would be bad, but
that would be bad. Okay. What about you, Drew? What do you think?
Sorry, I wasn't listening. Could you repeat the question?
Okay, this is gone great.
I'll be honest. I got a bit distracted.
You're fine.
Again? Sorry.
So, have you heard about the allegations made by a whistleblower saying that there was a secret kind of memo going around that ICE agents could break into homes or go into homes without a judicial warrant? Are you familiar
with an administrative warrant instead of a judicial warrant?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Look. Firstly, I actually wasn't aware of the whistleblower regarding that. Secondly, I would just say I don't actually agree with that though. If it's true, okay. I think they should. They need to respect. They need to respect the Bill of Rights.
Okay. Do you think if they're doing that, let's just assume it's true. Let's just assume it's correct, and that they are violating the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution. Do you think that people should maybe protest that?
Sure, maybe there are legal avenues of protesting. They shouldn't physically harass and attack ICE agents, which is what we are.
Following around and recording people is legal. This is well established.
Sure. Well, if they're not disrupting, then I've got no problems with people exercising their First Amendment rights in a way that's not disrupting federal immigration enforcement.
You see how this is a bit hollow in the way that they're interpreting it. Anyway.
Look, if people are peacefully protesting without attacking agents, then I've got no problem with people peacefully protesting. But
sure.
But the majority of Americans did vote overall.
Following agents around is also.
Did I? Yeah, I didn't
Warning
necessarily say that. Well, again,
warning
Nicholas, I don't
people
think
of
that.
where ICE
I don't think that.
is also
I don't
No,
think. Yeah,
the
Nicholas,
warnings cross
Yes, it
into interference. Absolutely, they
No.
do.
That
Yeah.
that warning is interference. And the second thing is, I also didn't say that Will Stansel should be arrested for blowing the rape whistle thing. Like, he can blow the rape whistle as much as he likes. It's fine. I'm not saying that he should be arrested for that. He's exercising his First Amendment rights. I do think that
I'm
going
concerned that
around warning people is obviously interfering with the prerogative of immigration enforcement agents.
I am a bit concerned that Will Stansel blowing the rape whistle will be a bit of a crying wolf, because that's our main indicator for whenever Grok enters the singularity.
And we got a Will Stansel grok.
We love Will Stansel.
Okay.
He's a funny guy. He's a good guy.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's
I
a
guess so.
dogged fella.
Let's go to the. So you think that warning people that ICE or the police or whatever is in the area is enough to count as interference or unlawful
absolutely.
obstruction?
Yeah, the purpose of that is obviously to help people who they're seeking like evade capture. So yeah, that's interference with law enforcement.
When there's on my app, my phone app, my driving app, and there's a alert that there's a speed trap up ahead, is that illegal obstruction?
Yeah, I've actually always thought that was ridiculous. Every time I see that, I wonder how that could possibly be legal. It's obviously intended to help people circumvent laws. So yeah, I'm against that too.
I think the people that monitor that should be executed.
Okay.
I mean, I'm pretty sure it's like well-established law that you can tell people where the police are.
Yeah, but did you consider that right now we're in a time of great crisis?
Mm-hmm. I also like this is kind of point scoring. I don't care, but like if we believe that we're like in a state of exceptional, like under the Biden administration, exceptionally large number of people entered, and it was 30 million, right? And then it turns out this is like totally untrue and it's way lower. Then our assessment of what to do should also change, as the facts change.
Sure. So I mean, like, are the estimates that you think are most accurate also unprecedented in recent decades in terms of border crossings?
Like it's a 3 million net increase as far as I can, at least from Pew.
Right. And how does that compare to previous years?
So that like puts us as about like less as a portion of population compared to 2005, back of the enveloping it, and like 1 million more in absolute numbers compared to 2005.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that seems like kind of a big deal to me. And to be fair, I probably also disagreed with the number of people we were bringing in 2005. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess my concern here is that like almost anyone can justify changing the rules or ignoring the rules because it's an emergency. And I've been hearing for the last 10 years from both sides at various degrees, it's an emergency. It's an emergency. I remember in 2020, right, when we did the lockdowns and things like that, we were like, okay, well, we should have these vaccine mandates because it's an emergency. And all the right wing stood up and says, wearing a mask is against the rights. We need to just fight federal power who are overstepping their bounds and coming into our places of worship, shutting down our churches, all these things. We need to resist all of this. These federal agents are overstepping their bounds. I don't see it but now we have an emergency you guys think is actually an emergency, and suddenly you're like, well, actually, no, the feds are based and you should comply or get shot. And I'm just struggling with the kind of seeing you guys for 5 years ago and hearing your takes today and how they've just basically switched places. I guess.
I mean,
why
you
is
guys
that
is a little.
Why is that?
You guys is a little strong. I don't think I've like had much of a
they don't
public
support
position at all
Trump,
on the lockdowns.
Yeah, dude.
Like.
That wasn't
I feel like I'm not going to answer for like a vague amalgam of like all right wing people or what they think on average or something.
Drew had not settled upon his adult political, so it's like not fair.
What did you say, Nicholas? I didn't hear.
I said that you had not by that time settled on your adult political opinion, so it's a bit unfair to be here.
Well, both. I think the funny thing is that both Hunter and I 5 years ago were leftists.
And then the left moved so far left. I saw that. It was a really good picture that Elon Musk post so much.
That's
the
true.
left
Well,
so far left.
it's true.
Hunter,
Well,
Hunter, you were there.
it's actually true. It actually
I
is true.
agree.
right?
It is. I
Destiny-
agree. It's true.
Destiny-
I'm agreeing with you. Yeah,
De-
it's crazy.
Destiny's centre left, but he was advocating that Charlie Kirk be shot. So
I remember advocating. I think I said those exact words. I think I did advocate for that. Yeah, the CCP has actually tried to arrest you 30 times. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, 100%.
Well,
that really happened.
Well, it is actually.
Were you
Again, Destiny, you don't even have a point here.
Were you at Hunter? Were you at some point like a math major / engineering socialist at some point in the past?
Yeah. That was
Okay.
basically my position. Was I was kind of a technocratic progressive,
Okay.
like social democrat type. Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
I guess to the question then, what changed your mind? Like, what made you leave the left, so to speak?
Well, it's
The
pretty obvious.
wokies.
Like, even so-called moderate leftists like Destiny, who was supposed to be against Hassan Piker and all the communists and stuff like that, actually were joking about Charlie Kirk being assassinated, and they've embraced a whole range of extremely radical positions, like essentially
Transing all the kids, banning men from everything, mandatory estrogen treatments for all
Can I
adult
answer
males.
the
It's very
question?
funny.
that was-
It's
Yeah,
actually very
hold
funny.
on. I asked Hunter, so I do want to hear what Hunter has to say.
Yeah, so I actually don't think, based on the stated positions that I remember from just 5 years ago versus today, that the left has moved significantly far in that time. Now they've moved over decades for sure, but I'm perfectly happy to say that I'm the one that moved, and that was the primary cause of my own political reorientation. This is obviously just going to turn into like this, could be its own separate episode. It could be its own separate series of episodes. But you asked me what I changed my
obviously,
mind on.
give me the elevator pitch version. Okay,
so
right?
Sure. So there are a few different issues, but the basic one was that I became convinced of a moderately strong version of hereditarianism, and when you actually unfold the consequences of that, it sort of vitiates the justifications for a lot of left-wing policies. Not just policies related to race, but general socialist policies. The idea that like all people need is a hand up, that the current distribution of wealth and income is totally arbitrary, and thus like it's a good idea for us to actively mitigate it and push back against the sort of hierarchy that develops based on like a market system or something. So yeah.
Does it hurt the fact that this concept of race, doesn't it kind of suck that it seems like all of the white people that ascend to the top tend to be the lowest IQ individuals? So people like Donald
I don't
Trump,
think he
Elon
mentioned
Musk,
race.
people like Drew.
I actually don't think that. Oh, sorry. It's good that it's
white?
great. Destiny just proved I'm white. That's beautiful. But Hunter actually hadn't even talked about race. Destiny.
Hold on. When you say hereditarianism, what do you mean then, if not race?
Oh, I mean that various personal characteristics that are relevant to, in particular, economic productivity and a broader
That you
suite
could put
of life
into
outcomes
racial
that
groups,
are
perhaps.
that are. It doesn't. No, it's not. It relates to some of those questions indirectly, but the basic idea is just that people's talents are to a greater degree inborn than the result of environmental advantages. And that applies within race and also across races.
Okay.
It's funny that Destiny
Well, it
called me
depends on
white.
what you mean by-
He didn't have the right script. The right script is that I'm supposed to be brown. But yes, sorry, you go on. Nicholas.
I don't think Drew is white. I think he's too Turkish for that.
That's funny,
Anyway.
Nicholas. I think that's actually funny.
Even worse than being white, to be honest.
This is the
You
real
share race
debate.
with
Is
Hassan
Drew
Piker?
white?
Oh,
Drew
my
white?
hatred for Turkish people just grew tenfold today. Nice.
And you know how we're going to decide if Drew is white? Whoever
I
gives me
actually
the
love that.
largest
That's funny.
super chat can decide, right? This is capitalism, baby. Okay, so whoever
Anyway,
gives me
Nicholas,
the
you
most
should
money
just-
will
you
decide
should
how
go back
if you
to,
were white or not. But I guess, I guess, like to Drew, and I'm really curious because you tried to bring up this earlier, and I don't think we touched on it, but I'm really curious. You said that there's this, that the state of civil unrest in Minnesota currently is enough that you would argue that we should, that Trump should invoke the Insurrection Act. Why? Explain.
I mean, it's a live question, but there's been the destruction of multiple federal vehicles. There's been break-ins of federal gun lockers, and literally federal guns have been stolen by some of these rioters. There were the sort of attacks on the churches. So I think there is certainly a state of civil unrest, and I know that Democrats had. Democrats had a
one person. Has anyone fired shots at ICE in the city of Minneapolis?
I mean, you
Oh,
would
so you
be
want people
happy
to
if it. Well, it's
I mean,
heading in
just
that
feels
direction,
like-
and I think Nicholas would be fine with that.
Okay, so we should invoke the Insurrection Act, which is if there is, a state of insurrection, because if trends continue, there might be an insurrection in the future.
I mean, for example, Trump sent in the National Guard into DC, and I don't think there was any problem with it. A lot of Democrats said, "Oh, that was the sign of
It was a
impending
big
dictatorship."
waste of money.
Oh, it was fine. I was in DC last
they
week, and
also-
it was actually good.
yeah,
they actually kept
I
things
have
really
so many
safe.
friends in DC who are like, all crime is
Right.
gone now. It was actually amazing.
So there was, as far as I can tell, a decrease.
I
in
felt
crime.
safer.
I do think
I'll
it's
just-
cost effective.
I'll tell you my own personal experience. I went to both DC and NYC, and I think I felt a lot safer in DC with the National Guard around. On the subway,
but
there was
it's
actually there was a point on the subway where I was with my family member, and there was a crazy guy who was jumping around with a knife right in front of us 2 meters away, and it was a extremely disturbing situation. It was scary. There's
Right,
human
okay.
feces on the subway.
So-
Wait, did the
There's
National
multiple
that happened
times.
while the
I have a
National Guard
blog
was there and you felt safe?
I have a blog post.
No, I'm
from
saying
September
in
that
DC. I'm saying in DC is a lot safer. The public environment is a lot safer because there's National Guard patrolling. In the subways in NYC, it's pretty scary. It gets dicey.
Oh, and
There are multiple
NYC,
times
right.
where I-
Okay, I gotcha. Okay.
Okay, so
By the way, this is the
blog post
fakest
from
thing I've heard in
back
my life, but yeah, go ahead.
I have a blog
What's the
post back
fakest?
in September.
What's the fakest?
basically
I've
just-
Well, I want
heard
to
of
hear
crazy guys
what
on
I want to
the
hear what Nicholas was talking. Let's hear what Nicholas has to say, and then you respond, Drew. I promise.
I have a blog post from back in September that was basically just doing the very, very most rudimentary differences on crime before and after. And when you consider that the National Guard are not employed full time but have to leave their jobs at considerable disruption, it does not shake out as cost effective. So
I mean, that's
I
going to
would-
depend a lot
it
on
doesn't
how
matter-
you weight the costs of various crimes. But I
Exactly.
mean, I'd be happy to look at that at least. And if you think there would be a more cost effective, because obviously the local officials in DC weren't going to do anything about crime. But if you think there was a more cost effective way to federally enforce the law there, then yeah, I'd be happy to look at that.
Okay, I do
Yeah.
have
So my initial blog post, by the way, was only including the direct cost of paying the National Guard, their salary, and then after I realized, wait a second, there's considerable economic disruption from them leaving their job, and I don't have numbers for that, but it's probably rather large,
Gotcha.
and since it was borderline anyway, adding
So,
that in will probably
we have
put
some-
the net negative.
We have some super chats that have come in. I do got to make a little money today. Okay, I'm a capitalist. Okay, so I'm gonna. We can.
We're on Twitch.
Some of them are
Whoa.
questions. We are on YouTube, sir, but fair enough.
Oh,
Not Twitch, because.
By the way, I can.
because of,
By the way,
yes.
I'm just gonna signal this. I've got to leave in about 30 minutes.
That's fine. We were going to end it at 8 anyway. We'll get through these really quick.
Okay.
Moto Milk
Okay.
for $5 says, "What the fuck is this? We need arc raiders." Okay. £5 for Riz. What the fuck says, "Was Good a domestic terrorist? And are any of these protests reasonably describable as either domestic terrorism or insurrectionary?" And that's to Hunter and to Drew.
I mean, seizing federal guns and break into federal cars and then seizing guns out of the gun locker. That is literally the definition of insurrectionary behavior. When you're literally stealing the armory of the state, that is literally borderline. That's definition insurrection. When you're literally stealing the weapons of the state.
Do you agree with that, Hunter?
Yeah, I mean, that
What?
incident
Oh my
in particular
God.
was really extreme. And
Sure.
then furthermore, the
What did Nicholas just say? I didn't even hear him.
He's made an exclamation how he can't believe you guys just said that. But go ahead, Hunter.
When you're stealing the guns of, how, Nicholas? When you're stealing guns from federal agents, how is that not insurrectionary?
What the fuck do you think insurrection
okay.
is?
Are we seriously going to declare the Insurrection Act anytime somebody steals a gun? Sorry, this is stupid.
There were organized groups
in Los Angeles, not
Organ-
somebody stole
organi-
weapons out of a truck.
not just somebody. It was an organized political group broke into a federal car and started stealing
Who?
weapons.
Who?
That is insurrectionary.
What was the organized group that broke into the car and?
I don't know if they've got a formal name, but they're anarchist type groups. And these you can laugh all you want, but these anarchist
I
type
am
groups,
laughing.
they're obviously
I'm laughing because
decentralized.
you're fucking retarded.
But Okay,
It's
but
funny.
Destiny.
It's funny to me.
I mean, what do you think they're going to
Destiny.
file as a 501c3? Like what? Like what?
Yeah.
How the fuck how do you find even what? It's Tren de Aragua 501c3 in the United States. Is MS-13 a 501c3? Are Crips and Bloods registered at their local federal or state offices for tax purposes? What the fuck kind of retarded question is that? My God,
Destiny.
unserious.
Anarchist groups. Destiny.
Drew, the Chinese are in your background. They're coming. I see them. The CCP. They're breaking through your walls, Drew. Oh no.
Okay.
They're coming
Okay.
again.
That was a $5 question.
fundraiser.
Save $5 question. You're giving a $50 answer.
Hang on. I'm responding. Destiny. These are anarchist groups. They're decentralized networks. Of course, they're not going to be as organized as the Bloods and the Crips.
Okay.
Oh man.
$5 from Bad Company. To the MAGA dick sucks on the panel. Any evidence of these networks of kamikaze drivers?
I mean, I listed earlier in the show like a description from Reuters about organized groups of people whose job is to disrupt ICE, but I think it's
Whose
very
job
important
is to go and take pictures and video record ICE when they're conducting operations, which is a First Amendment right in the United States.
There's a very obvious
right? That is a First Amendment.
here,
that is
right?
a First Amendment. That's a First Amendment right in the United States, right?
There's a very obvious strategy.
No, he won't
here,
answer.
which is to maintain
Because Republicans
plausible
don't care about your
deniability
rights.
between
They don't
the
care about
layers
your
of
rights.
organization,
They
right?
don't. They don't care about their rights.
The idea is that the politicians at the top retain plausible deniability while facilitating this behavior whenever possible, and then it
like
just
when Donald
trickles all the
Trump
way
gave
down.
that speech at the Ellipse, and all of his followers marched down to the Capitol to try to disrupt a governmental process there. Wouldn't that be an insurrection? How is that whataboutism? I'm describing definitionally what you gave. That's not whataboutism.
It literally
It's
is. You're talking about a different thing.
Exactly.
You think whataboutism is when you talk about a different thing? Whataboutism is when you try to
talking
excuse
about
the
the
current.
subject
I'm
of
not trying to avoid
conversation,
anything.
yes,
You have no
obviously.
evidence of what you're talking about, so there's no way to even avoid it.
I just gave you the evidence earlier.
The evidence is that they conduct themselves in such a way that it's never possible to point to any behavior to show that they're actually engaged in supporting these groups. So it's literally unfalsifiable, definitionally. How could I possibly prove your point wrong?
These are decentralized anarchist groups. These decentralized anarchist groups.
This is not a serious conversation.
Destiny, do you know what anarchism is? Do you know what anarchism is?
With the soundboard.
Are you aware? Destiny, are you aware that anarchist
Destiny,
ideology
enough with the
exists?
soundboard, please. Okay. $20.
Are you aware that anarchist ideology exists and that they have these decentralized groups?
Every time you talk to me, I hear it's just the most retarded thing I've ever heard in my life. Everything
You have no point. You have no argument. You have no
didn't even
argument.
answer my question.
Destiny, you
Listen to what you're talking about. You're saying there are decentralized anarchist groups that are being supported with plausible deniability at the top from Democrats, so there's never going to be a direct link. I can never point to any group that I'm actually looking at. You sound like a fucking schizo. If I were to put you in front of a psychiatrist, they would lock you up for 72 hours because you would be a threat to yourself and society. You sound schizophrenic. You're having delusionary hallucinations.
Okay, give us the super obvious. Hunter, just real quick, Hunter, give us the super obvious.
Why does Destiny keep crashing out like this?
Don't say crashing out. Hold on. Hunter is trying to actually answer the question. Hunter, answer the question.
He's the one that's crashing out.
Yeah. So
no, you are.
Here would be something.
Destiny's just dreaming. He can't even talk.
Okay, Drew, Destiny. Here, let Hunter go right now, please.
Here would be something that would be a narrative violation for me and that would cause me to rethink my perspective, right? If leading Democrats in the state, if Tim Walz, if Jacob Frey came out and said, well, you have the right to protest, you absolutely do not have the right to interfere with federal law enforcement, and anyone who does so will be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. If they issued any statement actually trying to get people to stop doing these things, then that would cause me to question my belief.
Didn't Tim Walz literally explicitly tell everybody that they needed to not be violent, and all of you fucking retards blew him up for it on X? So if I could find you the statement, you will admit right now that you would survive on a diet of Trump's cum given the opportunity to. Because Walz has absolutely fucking said that. How have you never heard this before? You're insane.
This is embarrassing. I
agree. It is embarrassing. I agree. I do agree.
No, I mean,
embarrassing.
He's not. He said,
Destiny, if you want to send me that clip, I can
said
play it.
not to interfere with federal law enforcement.
It's not interference to follow people around.
It's not interference to take pictures of people.
We fundamentally disagree with the idea that warning the subject of a criminal or federal immigration enforcement operation that enforcement officers are coming to get them. I consider that interference.
That's fine of you, but your personal perspective is not relevant here. That's not illegal to do.
I disagree. I think that is interference with a federal law enforcement operation.
Your thoughts are the law. You disagree?
No, look. if the cops
No,
are
wait,
coming
this is
to
a super
arrest,
simple. No, this is a simple
the
question.
cops-
Is
no,
it
no, no,
illegal?
listen,
Is it illegal to give people a warning that ICE are coming? That's illegal. That's an
if the
illegal
cops
thing.
were coming to arrest a murderer, and then you said, "Hey, the cops are coming, get out," you would absolutely be prosecuted for that. Yes, if you
I'm not
interfere
asking
with
about the
federal-
cops coming for a murderer. I'm saying, is it illegal to give somebody a heads up that ICE is coming? That's an illegal thing.
If the intention of it is to enable a subject of a warrant to escape ICE custody, then yeah.
Has anybody ever been
To the
arrested for
extent
this or
that-
charged with a crime?
What?
Has anyone been
anybody been
arrested for
arrested for
this? If this is illegal, who's been arrested and convicted of doing this? Is his question.
I don't know off the top of my head. Like,
Well, his claim is that no one has, I believe.
okay, that seems unlikely.
Wouldn't it be great to actually know the answer to that?
Anyway, Wick, what's the next question?
Yeah, okay, yeah, we got a lot of money on the table. $20 from Pondering Politics. Thank you, Josiah. Says, Glasses said, I'm assuming that's you, Hunter, in his intro, that if you don't like something, vote, but you lost the election. Does that apply to MAGA? Next time a Dem wins, will they commit to shutting the fuck up and letting Dems do whatever they want because MAGA lost?
I can tell you what I won't be
That's
doing.
kind of a stupid question because
I won't
MAGA
be
never
fighting
loses,
cops.
except for when Democrats
Right?
will rig
I
it.
won't be trying to interfere with federal law enforcement operations.
Like they did when they lost the last election?
I'm not like I'm not pro January.
Why do you
6th.
keep doing this, like the lowest IQ possible thing? When I point out an example, and you go, "Well, I didn't do it." You understand that's like typical behavior of like a mentally retarded individual, right? Do you
No, I'm
acknowledge
saying that I'm
That's
only
a-
responsible for
Do you
positions I
acknowledge-
actually hold.
I understand. I
do
Do you
not. I'm
acknowledge
not a
that what you're
January 6th
doing
supporter.
is
I don't
typical
hold
of
that
somebody who has
position.
developmental disabilities, like severe cognitive impairment. I'm just curious if you can
Non-point.
acknowledge that.
Non-point.
Okay, do you acknowledge
think,
that Republicans did do the thing, where when they lost the election, they tried to have a massive riot at the White House to change the results? Or at the Capitol.
Yeah,
sorry.
that happened.
Okay.
Okay. Do you think when
can I-
Josiah made that donation, do you think Josiah was asking about your personal opinion on what you personally would be doing? Or do you think he was speaking to the broader context of Republicans having a fucking riot and to this day not accepting the outcome of the 2020 election? What do you think he was more likely talking about there?
I mean, I can't answer for anybody that's not me, and the fact that like Republicans
Then why are
have
you
also
here?
behaved
Why are you
badly
here?
in the past.
Hold on, wait.
doesn't
Was this
change,
debate about
like,
what
our
is
policy
your
preferences.
personal? What are you personally going to do? Why are you talking about Trump or anybody in the administration? You're not the president of the United States. You're not the head of the Department of Homeland Security, the head of the FBI. Why are you here giving your opinion on anything at all?
Yeah,
It's just low IQ behavior. Why is everybody who believes in this hereditary biological? Or maybe you do believe in it. You think you just got dealt a bad hand? I guess I don't know.
Okay.
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 I think with regard to the
This is
January
actually
6th,
Destiny. You are
Hold on,
literally
let
retarded.
Nicholas
You are
answer.
literally
Let
retarded.
Nicholas answer, and then we'll give it to you, Drew. I promise. Nicholas.
I think with regard to the January 6th conspirators, we should have remembered the lessons of May 15th, and that is all that I'll say.
Okay, Drew, you had something to say. Go ahead.
I just think it's funny that Drew and Hunter presented to this debate, but Destiny wants to argue like he's literally debating Trump himself. We are moderate conservatives. We are not necessarily Gen 6. We're not arguing. It's true though.
That's
true,
what you
though.
say every time you're talking about.
Hold on, just real quick. But
you're literally wiping your mouth
Hold on,
clean
Destiny,
every time
please.
you open your mouth to talk about
Destiny,
the Trump
please.
administration. Sorry.
Okay, just real quick.
This is retarded.
To Drew, though, you understand you are here to represent a position, correct?
His
Yeah, and
personal
we-
opinion.
we-
His
And represent a
personal
We-
opinion.
side.
Our
We
position is a
personally
sort
would
of
do.
my personal position is a moderate conservative or a moderate Trump position. It's not necessarily agreeing with everything that Trump has ever said or done.
I
Right, but
understand.
you're trying to have the I'm not entirely sure. Being not an American, you might lack some of the context of the Insurrection Act. It literally hasn't been invoked
I mean, I
since the
as-
actual
as-
Rodney King
as-
riots, right?
as
This
Nicholas
is like-
as Nicholas said at the start of his debate, he didn't necessarily come here to talk about the Insurrection Act. I just came here mainly to talk about immigration.
No.
Look, I
The
sent you a
reason
video.
I find the Insurrection Act like as a topic uninteresting is that it's like so easily answerable, right? That you look at it, you consider the facts for 15 seconds, and you go, no, the Insurrection Act should not be invoked. If
Well, I
you
don't
continue
think
to say,
I don't
"Oh,
think
it
Nicholas
should,"
Nicholas
then you
Nicholas
must
is
find
in a
necessity you're making a fool of yourself.
Okay.
That's
Nicholas is
unfortunate,
not okay. Nicholas is not necessarily a fair-minded observer here because he literally wrote an article about 6 months ago talking about killing Trump administration officials. So I don't know if Nicholas is going to be the most fair-minded observer when it comes to the question of
Holy
insurrection
shit.
and civil unrest in Minnesota.
Wait, is Nick really that based? I didn't know that. Sorry, just kidding. I disavow.
Yeah.
That's really funny,
I mean,
Destiny.
like this is
Jesse,
this is
eventually Destiny's going to get a big
I disavowed. Like Donald Trump said, he knows they'll be marching peacefully. I disavow that. I just
Okay.
I
do wanna-
There are people who
Just-
have questions, and I presume they would want to.
Yeah,
have them.
I understand,
I'm
but
sure they'll
Destiny
have
wanted me to show this clip,
refunds,
and
you
so we're
know?
going to show this clip. I'm assuming you gave me the right timestamp, correct? Let's watch
hope so.
and find out. So if you want to click on watch screen,
8 days
we can
ago,
all watch
right?
together. Everyone's good? Everyone on there? Hope so.
Oh,
Hold on.
okay.
Why is this? Oh, yeah. Hold on.
Oh my gosh, walls! It's unfortunate
I had
that
it
walls
muted.
is kind of stupid.
We must
Like,
protest loudly, urgently, but also peacefully. Indeed, as hard as we will fight in the courts and at the ballot box, we cannot and will not let violence prevail. You're angry, I'm angry. Angry's not a strong enough word, but we must remain peaceful. Second,
So
Okay.
does
Yeah,
that
you can-
count?
No, you can go back to what I said.
You're a
Everyone can watch
cum
this once
sock.
it's released.
A cum
I said,
sock
don't
for Donald
interfere
Trump. A
with
cum
federal
sock.
law enforcement.
You would import Chinese injections to increase the amount of Trump's loads just so that he could ejaculate that much more into your asshole every time you talk about him. It is pathetic. You are pathetic.
Okay. 8-month
I'm
membership.
happy to let everybody just judge
Sure.
the way everyone's conducted themselves here.
Brew
Me
Crow
too.
for 8-month membership tier 2. Thank you for the 8-month tier 2 membership. Says Destiny just won the debate with a soundboard. $5 from Alishness. Maryland is proposing something called the Icebreaker Act, which could bar ICE agents from local law enforcement jobs in Maryland. W Maryland. Thank you
Good.
for the $5.
good. No, we should agree to like economically boycott them forever, so that like you continue to be excluded afterwards. Like no local government, no jobs, no police jobs, no nothing anywhere in the country. That's truly the hope, and let people know about that in advance when they consider joining ICE.
$10 from OG Gamers Puzzle or something. The only actual paid agitators are right-wing media figures and influencers. They make millions of dollars.
That's not a question.
Well, they paid me money, so
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, fair enough.
it's okay. $10. You gotta respect the $10. Says literally destroying the country by outrage farming and lying at every turn. I will get to the questions. $2 from Odasha.
All he's saying there is that it's completely illegitimate to hold right-wing perspectives. So he's just basically saying that it's illegitimate to have a politically different point of view to the left.
What terrorist from Odashara? What terrorist group was Renee good in? That's a question.
They already said it earlier. That horrible group that like Ice Watch, I think they take videos of
Lawyers
ICE.
Guild.
National Lawyers Guild. Holy shit, that's
To be fair,
crazy. I remember reading a report. I think it was 5 years ago. It was like ISIS, I think National Lawyers Guild, and I think it was Al Qaeda in Iraq were like the top 3 terrorist groups that were threats to U.S. freedoms. I think, yeah, it's crazy.
Okay.
I'm glad they got her. Thank God.
£10 from Riz. What the fuck? Says if the church process is somehow an attack, do the many historic examples we have of protests disrupting town halls, state legislators, school board sessions, etc., also count as attacks?
A church is not a fucking town hall. That's a pretty retarded statement. A church is a place of worship, and if they want to start saying that place of worship are fair game for attacks, then that's a very horrible road that they want to go down. It's a very horrible road that they want to go down.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that for one thing, there is a difference. Like, if you're bringing your grievances to an actual like seat of policy making, right? That's a much more direct and intended and appropriate use of protest than bringing it to some random church that has people in it that you disagree with. But I would also say that like if you disrupt meetings,
Why would they protest that church? You said a random church. Why were they protesting? Why were they protesting that church? You said a random church. Why were they protesting that church? Wasn't it just one in particular?
The pastor has he's alleged to be an ICE agent of some kind.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't just a random church, right? You just lied when you said that, right? That was a fucking lie, right?
Even if the pastor was
anything important.
It's okay. Daddy Trump lies all the time. You can lie too. I just want to be clear. Everybody knows
it was a
fucking lying when he
specific
said that.
church. Yeah, it was a specific church. That doesn't make it any
It's
better.
kind of the opposite of the word random, right? Specific is like the exact opposite of the word random. So you would think that.
Yeah, that was clearly like the big thrust of my point.
Would it be justified?
Yeah, good work.
This is a good question. Would it be justified if the pastor was allegedly actually an ICE agent?
Yes.
So I think protesting is fine. I think if they asked them to leave and then they didn't
in the middle
leave,
of the sermon.
if they asked them to leave and then they didn't leave, then I think that they could arrest them. Sure. Or the cops could come and arrest them. I didn't see that. I watched about an hour, I think, a video of this. I didn't see anybody ask anybody to leave or tell anybody to leave. Maybe they didn't. I just missed it. Or maybe
you hadn't heard of it. I thought you said you hadn't heard of it.
I was lying. I was emulating you cocksuckers whenever I ask you about any of the horribly corrupt shit that Trump does, and you seem to have never heard of a single fucking thing of it. That's what I was doing. I was making fun of you.
When Al-Qaeda attacked America and disrupted worship services by holding placards and protesting.
Okay, $5 from Mike Knowers. Nick and Destiny, have you ever had a discussion together? I think you would have. I think you have some mutuals like Ayala and others, and it would be interesting. Well, you guys can get together.
This is our first time.
Okay.
Hello, Mr. Bonnell.
I hope it was gentle for both of you. $5 from General Grievous.
Bad behavior today, okay?
$5 from General Grievous. Drew, ICE has been raiding churches during religious services to profile immigrants. Where's your righteous anger over disruption of religious liberty?
If that's true, I condemn it.
So just to let everyone know, in the 1st of January, maybe not first, 21st of January last year, 2025, Trump rescinded a policy from the Biden administration that was in place, putting schools, hospitals, and churches off limits for ICE agents to go into. So last year, Trump did rescind that policy. So it
do you really think that there should be like this kind of like
this safe zone for criminals? Are you serious? They're just going to run to the churches and schools now and hide. They're going to be places of criminality now.
I didn't say that. I'm just saying, do you really think it's a good policy to have this kind of standing sort of like off limit zone where apparently the immigration law of the United States no longer applies?
Well, it would probably be good if people didn't disrupt churches, right?
I don't think that churches should be disrupted, but I also think that you can't just have a carve out where automatically some parts of the United States just no longer have immigration law in effect.
What about a carve out where some parts of the United States are banned from protesting? That is okay? Or is it just when it agrees with your politically partisan hack position?
I don't remember I ever said that.
Okay.
No, I mean, a second ago, you, Destiny, said that if they were asked to leave and they didn't leave, that they should be arrested. So, you know.
Yeah, you don't even know if they were asked to leave. You literally don't know a single detail about any of the fucking things we've spoken about today. So you can't even have a position on it. The position you can have is twerking up and down on Donald Trump's dick. But besides that,
that they were asked to leave. Okay.
Were they? Well, yeah. If you have a clip of them being asked to leave, I will play it just like we did the Waltz clip. So show us.
I mean, the people like fled the church because they couldn't get away from these people. Like, yeah. Obviously.
Maybe they just left because they were annoyed.
Okay.
£5 from Riz to say, if the Insurrection Act should be invoked in Minnesota, should it have also been invoked during the actual insurrection on January 6th?
Yeah, that's fine. Again, like I've said, I'm perfectly happy with the idea that like that was illegal and those people should have been stopped from doing what they were doing. Yeah.
Do you think those people should have been shot? Do you think those people have been shot when they were attacking cops trying to break into the building? You agree that
at least one of them was shot. So, you know.
Unfortunately, just one. Yeah, but I'm saying, do you think that they could have shot like a whole bunch of them when they were all trying to break through the lines?
Yeah, I mean, if it were necessary, then sure.
Well, I mean, you keep saying if. So this is an event that actually happened. It's a real event in world history. So do you think those cops had a justification to start shooting when the people were trying to break down the doors or break through?
I mean, like I think the Capitol should have been secured. Yeah, I don't think.
Do you think that the officers had the right to shoot the people that were trying to break down the doors that were attacking them on the front lines?
Well, they did. They literally did.
Do you think the officers had a right to shoot the people? Could they have shot the people that had been justified?
They did it. They did it.
And
the guy was
Erdogan Jr., can you calm down for a second? The CCP's breaking down your background. Be careful. I see one of the books just fell. Do you think that the Capitol Police had a right to shoot the lines of protesters that were trying to break into the building?
Yes.
You would have supported it. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna prioritize the ones that are to Drew because he only has a few more minutes here. $10 from Luke Locomotive. Drew, you called the Minnesota church story the most notable instance of civil unrest. If they had yelled from the sidewalk, it'd be nothing. That's enough for you to let the Fed take up arms against its people? That's a question.
It's not against the people of Minnesota at large. It's against literal saboteurs and communist activists who are basically directing violence against immigration authorities. So I just reject the entire premise of the question.
Okay. $10.
So it's a little weird to say, like, if they'd done something else, it would have been fine. So therefore, it was fine. Like, that was a weird way to frame
Well,
that.
no, the question was just to be clear, the question was, do you think that the Minnesota church incident was enough to justify the Insurrection Act on its own? Basically, is the question.
I didn't say that, and I think there's multiple incidents that point to it. For example, breaking into federal cars and stealing guns from federal agents, etc.
Okay, $10 from the Soy Pill. Thank you for the $10 to say Drew won't mention they were protesting the official who worked with ICE, not religion. These are deeply unserious people, and Wick should be ashamed for humoring them.
No,
here's $10.
No, that's retarded. That's retarded.
I feel no shame.
The kids in the church had done nothing, and they were still terrorized. So this is just they're making this retarded argument. Yeah, they were terrorized.
Also, I don't think either of us claimed that it was like an that it was like the point of the protest was like against Christianity or something. I don't think we made that claim. Yeah, I mean, it was an ICE-related protest because the pastor is alleged to be an ICE agent.
Still terrorize innocent people. Don Lemon made it very clear that they looked scared. The kids looked scared. They terrorized.
He used the word traumatic.
Hold on, Nicholas is trying to ask me something. I can't hear what he's saying. Go ahead.
How many questions are there? I want the people to get their money's worth.
There's a lot of questions.
Issue refunds. Okay.
I'm not going to. No refunds, guys.
What if we all agreed to speak twice as fast? And twice as concisely too.
Look, my rule on this, and this is a policy, I guess. It's not really a rule. If they give $5, give them a $5 answer. If they give $50, give them a $50 answer. Okay, that's all I'm saying. $5 from General Grievous to say, should individuals not have worn slaves to help evade capture if people were coming to enforce the Fugitive Slave Act?
Illegal immigrants are slaves. Illegal immigrants are slaves. It's retarded.
Comparable.
No, it's not comparable at all.
Yes.
You only think it's comparable because you think that America shouldn't have a border.
Okay, so
I got another video clip for you. This is apparently the mayor of Minneapolis after. Go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry.
And Nicholas is smirking because he does agree. He doesn't think that America should have a border.
I have said from the get-go.
Like I said, my ideal world, we lose track of ICE in Manchuria.
Damn.
Okay.
I think the border in the United States is not enforced enough right now because according to Drew, he was just here a while ago, so somebody's fucking up.
Okay, let's watch this real quick. Click on the watch screen, gang, and we'll...
That's actually that's beautiful friend enemy distinction politics because he's got a problem with me because I've got conservative political opinions, but he's fine with Somali illegal immigrants. Who
Drew, he's fucking with.
Do not misstate my beliefs. You're mistaking my beliefs. I'm actually a huge supporter of hereditarianism, and I just think that we need to be more careful about the IQ level of the genetic stock that we have in this country. And I don't think people like you should be allowed in. You seem like you would never say that. You would never say that to a Somali immigrant. You could rape a white woman, a high-IQ white woman, and they would give birth to a retarded Drew child. I don't want these people in my country. You know what's funny? You would never say that to an actual 60 IQ Somali illegal immigrant.
Okay.
Which
you got
proves
me there.
That I'm white. I definitely never said any edgy things about black people or Somalis before. Absolutely true.
Okay, let's watch this real quick so we get back to my money.
I have said from the get-go.
By the way, I did tell you I've got a hard stop.
Yep, we're going to give you an outro here in 3 minutes. How's that? But let's watch this real quick.
Sounds good.
I have said from the get-go to people in Minneapolis, do not take the bait. We are better than that. I have encouraged peaceful protest, and I am inspired by the tens of thousands of people who have in fact peacefully protested and fairly documented with transparency what is taking place. That is allowed in any city in the country. And I have made it clear that to the extent people are going beyond that and those protests are not peaceful and the violence that the chief mentioned, it's got to stop and you got to go home.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing I said before. He did not say, not only did he not say don't interfere with federal law enforcement, he tacitly endorsed them by saying all these thousands of people that I've seen like doing something that I approve of. So yeah, it's the same thing with Walt.
So then just curious, just check for consistency here. When Donald Trump tweeted out, you guys need to remain peaceful at the Capitol after they'd already broken in, that was Donald Trump encouraging and supporting the violence that was happening at the Capitol, right?
We both condemn January 6th.
I didn't ask that. That's not what I asked.
condemn
Why do you
January 6th.
generalize it? Drew, please. I understand that in your, accelerated learning classes or whatever they do for disability people down there. Okay, this is just a normal conversation. I'm just asking for people that are fluent in English and can understand
Destiny, you've literally never read a book in your life.
Higher than grade 1 concept.
Okay,
Let me go back to
Destiny,
the
tell us what book you
what I was
read.
asking.
Tell us what book you read.
Let him ask your question.
I've read a lot
Then
of
you're going to get an
books
answer.
on-
Then you're going to get to give your outro, and they'll let
what
you
was
go.
that? I'm just curious. Yeah.
Has Destiny read a book in the past year? That'd be great to know.
You agree then that Donald Trump was
I'm missing-
encouraging
Does Destiny know
how to
violence
read?
that was happening at the Capitol, right?
Does Destiny know how to read? It would be a great question to know.
You can't even understand spoken word. Why would I assume you'd be able to read, Drew?
No, you can't read. You demonstrably cannot read. It's a well-known meme. It's a well-known meme where you actually just basically admit you've never been able to read books.
Drew, you get your outro now. I know you have to go. This has been a shit show. I won't lie. But
Did I get an answer to that question? That was a super simple question.
Yeah.
Was Donald Trump encouraging violence on the day of when there were already violent rioters inside the Capitol? And he tweeted out, "I want you guys to remain peaceful while you protest," or whatever.
I'm happy to answer that after Drew goes, by the way.
Yeah.
If he has to go.
Yeah, I know.
And as I've said, I've always condemned January 6th. But anyway, I'll just say I actually thought it was
No one
interesting.
asked
I thought it was interesting that we could actually have a discussion with Nicholas. The funny thing is that Nicholas is actually far more radical than Destiny, because Nicholas is open that he wants to completely abolish the border, and he's even said before that members of the Trump administration should be killed. So Nicholas is actually more radical than Destiny.
Circumstances under which they should be killed.
Okay, well, Nicholas. The funny thing is, Nicholas is. That's the funny thing. Nicholas is actually far more radical than.
You said
Destiny,
the funny thing is
you
twice.
Well,
you
let
haven't
him
laughed.
finish.
Are
He's
you
got to
lying?
go. Let him finish.
But
He's
you
got to
can-
go. Then
but you
we'll
can-
be free of him. I
It
promise.
is
But Drew,
interesting.
go ahead.
I just think it is interesting that despite the fact that Nicholas is more radical than Destiny, you can actually have a somewhat of a discussion with Nicholas, whereas Destiny was just throwing shit at the wall and just behaving like an ape and just screaming. He was constantly chimping out. He could not even have any. He couldn't have any intellectual discussion whatsoever, and he started the entire show with a big board behind him that said, "Drew Pavlou, you should hang yourself." So that just showed from the very start that he was not a good faith intellectual interlocutor, and I just think Destiny is a
If I really think
massive
you should hang
disgrace
yourself,
to the
wouldn't that
left.
be good faith for me to say it? Wouldn't it be bad faith for me not to?
I think it is actually. I think it's actually a testament to the fact that Destiny is actually genuinely a very disgusting person, and his personal life is just literally filthy and perverted, and I think that is a reflection of his perverted mind.
Oh, the CCP is going to get you for
Okay,
that one.
Drew,
I'm forwarding it to my contact
I
right now.
appreciate you coming on. I do, and we'll
Okay.
get you maybe on a little smaller
Destiny,
panel
please
next
look
time.
after your son. Please, literally, just call your son at some
I'll do
point.
it.
in the
Okay,
next
let's keep
week.
kids out of this.
G
Drew,
Lang
thank you for
is
being
DMing
here.
me right now. They're coming after you. Be careful. You're going to have to do another fundraiser to scam people on Twitter. Good luck.
Okay, Destiny, I genuinely think you should talk to your own son, because you're actually a 35-year-old man, and your own son is basically being
Okay.
neglected.
I'm actually
And
Drew,
37
don't you
now,
have to
but,
go?
yeah.
That's even sadder.
Just please
You're
remember, for
37
you
years
also,
old.
wear a condom, because holy fuck, one of you is worse enough, okay?
Okay, Drew. Thank you,
Nicholas,
for being here.
you're actually. I mean, Nicholas, you can actually have a discussion.
I'm just kidding. I know you're a virgin anyway. I'm just joking.
Okay, Destiny, you're literally a filthy pervert, and I genuinely hope you talk to your own son at some point in the next. Some point in the next couple of weeks, you need to talk to your own son, because
I
your
would.
son
We
is
just had a
extremely
conversation last
neglected.
time, because apparently he beat you in a debate, which is crazy because he's like 14.
Well-
but I guess that's about where you're at
Well,
developmentally.
your son in that debate, your son actually endorsed killing his own grandmother. or something
Okay,
crazy
we're
like
not
that.
going to bring
So
in
you
people's
need to
children.
talk-
Hold on. I
need-
do have a rule. Don't bring
you need to
people's
talk-
kids
you
into
need to
these
talk
things.
into it.
Okay, Drew. That's not okay.
Okay, I do think Destiny needs to talk to his own son, and I do think he needs to fix his perverted personal life.
Okay.
It's disgusting. He is a massive
I
cuck, and
understand.
it's actually
I get
genuinely
it.
disgusting.
I get it. Okay, I'll
Okay,
talk to you
thank
later,
you.
Drew. Bye bye.
Please, literally look after yourself, Destiny.
Okay.
Please,
Bye.
you actually
I'll
need to
donate
get
to your
mental
next
health.
fundraiser. I'll donate to your next fundraiser, okay?
Okay. Have fun, Destiny. You're a disgusting
Mm-hmm.
person.
All right, wait. So what was the answer to that question? Was Donald Trump supporting
for,
the violence?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm not saying that calling for peace in and of itself is an endorsement for violence. I told you what kind of statement I would need to see from them to change that view of mine that they support this interference.
Okay, but
of federal
didn't
law
Donald Trump,
enforcement.
he had the opportunity to tell people to stop and go home and everything, and he didn't. So why isn't Donald Trump
He said
supporting
stand
violence?
down. He said stand down.
No, that wasn't until after Ashley Babbitt was killed. When there were people that had broken into the Capitol and people were begging Trump to tell him to go home, he just tweeted out, "Stay peaceful." So that's him if these messages that were stronger statements than Trump has ever made, by the way, in his entire life, You will acknowledge that these two statements that the mayor and the governor made, these are stronger statements to peacefully protest than what Donald Trump has ever made before, right?
No, I don't agree with that. They said
What's
the
one-
tens
what's
of
one-
thousands
wait,
of
wait,
people
what's
are
one time-
protesting
what's one
like
time
in a
he's
way
made a
that's
better
totally
statement?
legitimate.
Yeah, sure.
And
Give me an
this
example of one
one-
statement Trump
You
has
always
ever
do
made.
this thing where it's like, pull up from your encyclopedic memory
Have
of
an
everything
example.
Trump's ever said.
He's always doing this thing where he wants an example of what I'm talking about. I just want to fucking live in memes. I know, dude. Eat shit.
Okay.
Yeah.
$30, or I'm sorry, yeah, $30 for Drew or Hunter.
There you go.
What's your biggest
Oh.
criticism of Trump? The strongest disagreement you can think of.
I think the tariff policy is really chaotic. I think that a lot of his, like, some of the more economically populist positions he's taken, like the cap on credit card interest rates, the no tax on tip stuff, like that's obviously just like rank populism that has no plausible justification. So yeah.
Okay. $20 from Natiristoa. For Drew and Destiny, why didn't the Democratic Party respond like Trump to the Bundy Farm incident?
So the Bundy
I
Farm
don't know
incident, by the way,
question.
you know what this is? Okay, so Clive.
I'm aware of the phone. I just don't know what the question was. Yeah.
Bundy? Oh, okay.
Yeah, if they want to clarify, they can, but that's what they asked. Okay. $20 from Breadbox. Wick, please set the bar for Destiny in relation to his behavior here. Many of us have either continued to increase the value of our liberal views with his perspective. His excessive insincerity has cost us libs an easy win here. Thank you for the $20.
I'd agree with that. I think, by the way, as a general rule, anyone who wants to comment on politics should spend 3 to 4 hours a day reading economic papers and becoming conversant in the literature, because otherwise, you don't have anything to say, about what optimal policy should be. But I think that the ideal way to figure out what we should do is figure out the bare minimum principles of what we're trying to maximize, and then learn how you maximize those. And that requires a lot of actually learning about the world. So
That's actually an interesting topic, the sort of meta issue there that I'd be happy to talk to you about. Like, to what extent that sort of approach will or will not produce useful outcomes. But we can talk about that another time, maybe.
Okay. Let's get. I'm looking for the questions here. The Bongo Beat for $10 says, to the morons I don't care to learn the names of. When you cherry pick your words,
well, that could be any of us.
I know it could be any of us. Abuse the English language, to distort every single thing. Why do you expect any level of respect? And I guess that's to all of us. So
I don't know that I expect anything.
okay. 10 Canadian dollars, unfortunately, from Sithari for glasses. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit held that a man holding a sign up on a public road saying cops ahead is free speech in 2023. So it's not interference to blow whistles.
Okay, I disagree with that ruling.
Okay.
Okay.
$10.
But this is the law.
Oh, go ahead.
Unless there have been further rulings since then.
Highly doubtful. But I'm not a lawyer. Sorry. I generally kind of am somewhat with Hunter on this, in that I generally don't. I try and stay away from what is the state of the law. I want to think about what should the law be, because that's the.
I think it's better to talk about what the law is, except for when the law disagrees with you. Then I talk about what the law should be, unless that's too difficult to think up. So then I just say what I personally would prefer it to be, and I refuse to answer for any of the other political figures that I generally defend wholeheartedly.
Actually, I agree with Decker's position that it's much more productive for us to, since none of us are lawyers, to just talk about what policies we actually want. And that would have been the conversation I would have liked to have with Nick. But
True. I agree, because law's boring and lame.
Okay. Anybody else, Wick?
Oh, again, we got a lot, so I'm making good money here. But $10 from Doom Spiral. How do we know that the violent ICE agent attacks aren't actually Antifa infiltrators? We should investigate all of ICE for being part of a domestic terrorist organization and traitors, just in case.
I still don't know why we never got the fucking autopsy for Charlie Kirk. Tim Pool tweeted out he was stable. He dies. I saw Kirk leading up to the shooting. The guy looked like he was a little bit zoinked out. I don't know what his blood levels were for any particular drug. I just think it's crazy we didn't see the results of that, but that's just me.
Okay. $10 from Dave Ovick. How does he want to get ICE agent economically barred? And this is to you, Nicholas. When even post-World War II, Germany couldn't get every mid and low-level Nazi party member barred. What strategy do you use that they didn't? Honest question.
That's a tough question. Actually implementing it is hard, and it's quite possible that there's not the public will. Like how I see what I see the ICE protests are as like the point of them is to sway public opinion against ICE, right? Because I think eventually there's a very high chance that they are essentially used as a private army. At least they are the means through which Trump would have a private army. And so it's important that they shatter their own reputation and that the people are totally against them, and that they don't see ICE as human, that they are not restrained in fighting back. And so that's why I think like following reporting on ICE and allowing them to behave thuggishly, but responding peacefully is so important. I see them as basically, our Basij, right? Our brown shirts. And eventually we might have to go to war with them. But anyway, I think that if there is sufficient public condemnation of it, then we are totally able to do it when it comes to barring them or other measures. And I think that local governments would totally be able, especially in liberal polities, would be totally able to just ban them from all employment.
Okay, $5 $5 from Word to the Wise. I want to know from the people pro-clutching over the church attack. How do they feel about religious people attacking Planned Parenthood?
I mean, I'm completely against that. I'm actually pro-choice anyway, if that were relevant, which it really isn't. But yeah, I mean, I think sometimes the statutes against this have been stretched to the breaking point to, arrest people who are just silently praying outside abortion clinics or something. But to the extent that anyone engages in violence or even significantly harasses the people seeking a legal service, then yeah, I absolutely condemn that, and those people should be arrested.
Just curious, can you name a single event where somebody was arrested for silently praying outside of an abortion clinic? That was a highly rhetorical question. I know the answer is no. I know. It's all good. Based.
$5 from I Killed Earl. Poor Earl. When did Don't Tread on Me turn into Don't Trigger My Cognitive Dissonance? MAGA turned into government bootlickers in a skinny minute.
Okay, that's not really a question, but
look, if it has a question mark, I'm reading it. Okay. $50.
That was probably based.
$50 from Alishness. Thank you for $50. They didn't attack the church because they were Christian. They went to the church because the pastor was an ICE officer, allegedly. What a stupid fucking point to make. Don Lemon isn't even anti-Christian. Why make such a brain-dead point? Question mark.
Isn't he gay?
Don Lemon is gay, I believe, yes.
That's kind of anti-Christian, no?
Matters, but...
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to head out in a bit, by the way.
Yeah. Do you want to tell people where they can find you, all that? We can kind of close shop here.
So my best work is at nicholasdecker.substack.com. That's my name, .substack.com. Today, I have a comprehensive, if pocket-sized primer on markup estimation from both the demand and the supply side, and some recent exciting work on doing markup estimation from the demand side at scale. So the problem historically is that if you're estimating demand curves, right, you're going to need detailed, you need two things. You need detailed cost shifters and other forms of instrumental variation in order to trace out demand curves. And you also need a conduct assumption, which might not be portable from industry to industry. Conduct, by the way, is just the way in which firms compete. Do they set quantities and prices? Do they set prices and quantity? Are they colluding, et cetera, right? And so there has been, and so this means that prior demand side work estimating the markup has been industry by industry, and it takes a lot of work. Now there's been some recent papers like trying to do this at scale with different simplifying assumptions, but hopefully you can have multiple different simplifying assumptions and then compare to the supply side estimates, right? Which is where you estimate a production function and the markup is equal to the elasticity of output with respect to some input divided by the elasticity of revenue paid to that input. But unfortunately, the assumptions there are just way too strong. They're not usable. So anyway, you can read all about that, or also, like why we should kill the Trump administration there. I suppose I got to pander a bit. And you can also find my tweets at CapGouda, CaptGouda24. That's all.
Okay, well, thank you for being here. Really appreciate you. So here's what's going to happen. I have people who want to call in, and that's fine, but I know you both may need to go, and I do have more super chats to read. So I want to give both of you a chance to have outros, final thoughts, final statements. Destiny, do you have anything to say?
I'm like this whole administration, all the people surrounding it are just deeply unserious people. They have no factual engagement with what's actually happening in the real world. Sometimes they want to talk facts if they feel like the facts are on their side. Then they want to talk theory when they don't want to address the facts. And it's a collection of deeply unserious people. The only thing that's more upsetting than dealing with them now is going to be dealing with them in 3 or 4 years when they pretend that they never really supported this administration, when all of them saw that the Trump admin was, there were a whole bunch of red flags and they were never fully on board with it. You already see it kind of today when none of these people will actually admit how much they're throating Trump and his entire cabinet on Twitter. Because as soon as you get into a conversation where they have to defend the indefensible, they immediately wheel out this, well, I'm not always supporting Trump and I'm not fully MAGA. And it's a super unserious world. And it's kind of like it's memes and it's funny jokes and everything online, I guess, because we're at the end of the day, we're just debating who the fuck cares. But it's pretty sad to watch the country take this insane authoritarian slide against a group of people that used to scream about how important Second Amendment rights and states' rights are.
Okay, Hunter, Ash, do you have final thoughts for the closing statements and things like that? And then if you guys want to stay, you can, but you can go if you like. But go ahead, Hunter.
Yeah, sure. So first, I just wanted to issue a mea culpa on a specific point. I took a few minutes to look up abortion clinic cases, and while there are some that would fit the description I provided in the UK, all the ones in the US that I found, I thought they were good arrests and the charges were reasonable. So, fair there. Yeah, just in general, I would say that I think that this could have been a really interesting conversation, mostly between me and Decker, and it's a shame that didn't get to happen, but maybe we'll get to talk in the future. So, yeah.
Okay, well, I do appreciate you coming, and if you want a more, I guess, narrow, tailored guest list, let me know in the future, but I do appreciate that. We have some callers if you guys want to stay for a couple of those. Is that okay?
I actually have to go.
I understand. Well, have a great day.
I'll hang out with you, Wick.
Okay, well, thank you.
All right, cheers, Wick.
I appreciate it. Bye-bye, Hunter. We'll see you later.
See ya.
You're a scum as fuck, Hunter. Don't ever forget it.
Thanks,
Jesus
man.
Christ. Yeah, I guess, well, first of all, let's bring in a couple of these callers and okay, Dev. What do you guys, first of all, I guess for the audience here, Dev and Stormwolf, what are your thoughts here? I have thoughts. Before I give my thoughts, I want to hear your thoughts. Okay.
Dev, you can go first.
Hold on, my mic is not working completely correctly on my end. Give me a second.
Okay, well, Stormwolf, you go first then, please.
Sure. I guess my thing was I came in mainly to disagree with the other panelists, but I guess it's fine. I feel like the issue is, I think we saw this, is this inability to live in reality is really concerning. When we watch that Jacob Frey video, the idea that you can look at that video and say that Jacob Frey isn't telling people not to impede ICE officers is insane. He explicitly says, hey, you record them, but if you want to be violent, nope, go home, right? If you can't do that, go home. It seems like an explicit call, and the idea that we can somehow say that, and when it's concerning to me that we're talking about deploying the Insurrection Act when Donald Trump didn't want to deploy the Insurrection Act for an act, well, maybe because he's causing the insurrection. The idea that we would ever look to him about the Insurrection Act is insane. There's nothing that's risen to the level of an insurrection. When Drew's saying, oh, well, stealing federal guns is an insurrection, that's not what an insurrection is. And it's so obvious he has no understanding of the law, or they don't care about it, and it's really concerning.
Okay, and just to be clear, I'm going to prioritize callers after these guys who disagree. So if you think that the Insurrection Act should be invoked, or if you disagree on what was said about ICE and things from Destiny, I will prioritize you. Just let me know. Dev, thoughts?
I'm here now. Hopefully, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Everything
Yeah,
good?
we can hear you.
Okay. I mean, using the Insurrection Act is probably actually justified, I think. However, that's because it's a good insurrection. They should be insurrecting, because what's going on is bullshit. That's all.
Well, but they're not insurrecting yet. But if they were, that would be based. But
Well,
I don't think it's risen to the level of Insurrection Act yet.
not even
okay.
close.
I don't know if we
No.
want to do the meta stuff, but I guess I'll just ask you, Destiny. Do you think that was a good showing? Right? Like,
Sure. Yeah.
I disagree.
That
I
was a
think-
shit show debate. That
Yeah,
was
it was
incredible.
a shit show, but it didn't have to be, and it's kind of frustrating me. I'm annoyed. Okay, I'm a
Yeah,
little
but it's
annoyed.
like it's one of those things. What did you do for work before like streaming? Can I ask that? Or
yeah,
are you,
you
like,
can ask
secretive
that. I
about
was
it?
in the military for a few years. I worked at taxes and titles for a bank for a little bit. I did just various odds and ends, but the military is the main one, and now I just.
What was your MOS, or were you in the army, or what were you in?
I was in the Air Force. I was a crypto linguist for 3 years. I studied. My target language was
Crypto
Mandarin Chinese.
linguist.
Yes.
Can
and
you
I also-
imagine you and me having a debate on crypto linguism or something, and I don't even know like anything about cryptography or hashes. I don't know any about that, but we're gonna like argue like what is the optimal way to approach it, I guess, from the Air Force. Would you even have that conversation with somebody?
I mean,
Like
look,
my issue is that like it's like we're being asked like what do you think is like the most efficient way to integrate functions, and it's a person who's never done algebra before. Like that to me, that's just like even entertaining the conversation is a joke.
Yeah, but
like if these
even-
people can agree on like go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, but even at even having something with a high level of expertise, we can also, I would happily have a conversation with someone on like, to what level do we think that the government should intrude upon people's privacy in order to gather information? I think that doesn't require a whole lot of expertise to have a moral debate about what should we do, right?
Yeah, but that's
There's-
boring.
there's
I'm not here
there's
to have a
some- there's
moral
some
debate
assumption
about a
of-
bunch of things, but when we have like actual factual things happening, it's a boring question
yeah.
to say like what should the moral thing. I'm sorry, I don't mean to say that it's boring. There could be a discussion for that, but I don't want that anywhere near tied to like what's actually happening in real life right now. Because if you're going to engage with like a real life thing or policy or set of actions happening right now, then you should know about them. And if you can't even acknowledge some basic shared reality about it, then you shouldn't be in that conversation. You're a deeply unserious person.
Like, I think the issue is like
Just real quick,
say,
if I
like,
can
yeah, we
respond,
have-
if I can
yeah.
respond to that, and I'll
Yeah,
let you
for
go.
sure.
I promise,
Yeah.
right? But like, look, it's all about moderation in these things, and when I say that, like, I think if you had taken some of these instances where you did show them to be unserious, and I think you did, and you had just again done that a little less, but also engaged with their point, I think it would have been a
I can't.
much more
I'm not going
effective
to.
thing.
I'm not going to argue calculus with somebody who's never done algebra. I'm just not even going to waste my time. There's not even a good fit. It's not even. I'm not even owning them. It's the equivalent to slapping around a kid in a coma. Like, what's the point? Why would I even pretend that they're capable of engaging in the conversation just because they might be able to utter a grammatically coherent sentence? It doesn't mean that they know anything about the topic. Like, if you don't know any of the underlying facts of anything that's happened for anything at all, you don't know what happened with the Renee Good shooting. You don't even know if the vehicle was trapped in a snowbank. You don't know any of the statements that the president of the United States, the head of the Department of Homeland Security, you don't know any of these things. Why the fuck would I ever have a conversation with you about an insurrection in Minnesota? You don't apparently know fucking anything about it. Not you personally, but the other two
No,
people.
I get
That's
you.
crazy
I
to me.
understand.
Well, like, here's
Go
the thing,
ahead,
right? Like,
please.
yes, it is true you can have these conversations with people who are like less educated than you, but then these people should come in and say, I don't know shit, I'm just clueless and want to like learn about it. The issue is they come in with these opinions, and when you ask them for examples, they'll be like, well, what example? Like when you're asking like someone like, what is an example of a group? And like, I don't know the names of any groups. They're not trying to, this isn't a serious conversation. You can't come in and make claims and then not have evidence to back it up. If it would be one thing if they're coming in and saying, this is what I've heard, I want to learn more about it and have a conversation. But if you're coming into debate to stake out a position, the idea that you can just say, well, examples don't matter and whatever. No, you're not trying to engage in good faith then, or you're either disingenuous or retarded at that point. And that's the issue.
Like imagine
We
if I
can't
was
have
trying to
debates if we're not
argue
engaging on facts.
Imagine if I was trying to argue in favor of slavery, and I give you every single example in history where a slave benefited. They were part of like an upper class household, and they learned to read or whatever. And then every time you're like, well, what about when slaves were beat? I don't know about those examples. Okay, what about when slaves were killed? I don't know about those examples. But what about slaves? Well, I don't know any of the bad examples, but not all the good ones. How are we going to have a serious conversation about that? It's impossible. It's a joke to even pretend it, I think.
Well,
Yeah,
Well, actually, hold on. I have a question for you then.
Let me piggyback in actually, because I want to turn this to you as well. The fact that you let these people on when they clearly don't know what they're talking about is bad enough. But the fact that they're also being bad faith about it, like when I press Drew and say, hey, like you keep saying this is an attack on Christianity, you wouldn't say the same about Islam, and then you're not going to acknowledge why they were there, which was not to protest Christianity. Sorry, I'm out of breath. I'm at the gym. This is ridiculous. These people clearly aren't here to have a discussion about the facts. At least the Hunter guy can say, hey, I looked up this thing. I was totally wrong about it. Now, granted, you didn't know other shit, but like that's a little more good faith. Why do you let these people on? Like, you can't let the money that comes from letting retards on, like, have a little fucking chicken fight outweigh the fact that there could be an interesting discussion here that you're just completely throwing out the window by letting on morons like Drew on.
So I think it is.
I disagree. I don't think there's any conservative you could bring out to have a good conversation, and I support Wick, and I like that Wick let these people on. Okay, just to be clear.
No,
okay?
you can let stupid people on, like Grid. You let Grid on our debate, and that was a stupid conversation. But he's a moron. He's not bad faith. Like there are different levels of this, and if you're going to let people come on who one are uneducated, but two are willing to lie about it and just never let any point slide because they'll just keep moving the goalposts, like this is so fucking frustrating to watch. This is so lame. It's not worth the super chats that you get. Please stop doing it.
So I think that there's a value in having people on to represent a position and then to showcase that they don't know what they're talking about. I think that there's a
They're
value
not representing
to that.
the position. Drew is not representing the position. Drew is taking the position that he wants to take because
Hold
he's
on, do
grifting,
you think it's-
and then will lie and obfuscate and deviate from any facts so that he can show you, oh, actually, no, let's move away from that one point. At least Grid, who's a moron, will say, actually, no, I'm going to deep throat the point that I should have shot that lady in the car. That's a completely different discussion, but that's not what you're doing. You're letting on people who are just lying to be the other side. It's like playing devil's advocate in high school debate class, except they're doing it for money, and they're not told to do it. It's not the instruction. They're doing it because they want to make money and grift off.
But I
it.
think
It's
people
fucking
can
retarded.
see
Stop.
that,
You're
they
giving
can
them what
observe
they
that,
want.
and they can make their decisions based on that.
I don't
and I
think
think
it-
that is a
I don't think
value.
people are
I
used
want
to
to
it
hold
if you
on,
don't
just let
call
me
it out.
finish. I
Absolutely
want to
not.
know who does that, right? So I can know more about their moral character. And if we never give them the chance to do
Oh, cool.
that,
So you're never
we
letting
won't
Drew on
maybe
again?
know.
Are you never letting Drew on again?
No,
Are you never
I'll
letting
have Drew on again because I think this
What do you mean? You just
bears
found out.
repeating. Lessons have to be
Okay,
repeated.
how many times do we have to learn that he's a fucking waste of time to talk to?
I
10
don't know
times?
the exact
That'll be
number for
fun.
you, but
20
I do
times?
think there's value in repetition and again
Look.
allowing people to
Can I cut
speak
in here?
their
Can I cut in
piece.
here
And
for a
if
second?
they lie
Wait,
and if
no,
they obfuscate and if they're bad faith, people can see that. People can make decisions on their own. I am not here to judge who is a liar and who is not. I obviously
Wait,
have my opinions,
Wait,
right?
if you invited me on to an economics debate against Nicholas Decker, who has a fucking like 3 degrees in it, and I started trying to argue about things I had no idea about and was lying about it, I would expect you to kick me off. And if you let me on, I'd lose respect. To say, like it's ridiculous.
You would expect me to kick you off? No, why not let him
Yeah,
take you to task? Why not let him,
Yeah.
again,
You get 10
show
minutes to show
everyone
that I
the
don't know what I'm
gulf of
talking about,
knowledge
and I'm not
between you
too-
two?
No.
By kicking you off,
Yeah, and
I
then-
am, again, preventing the audience from seeing the
You
gulf
never-
of knowledge between these two people.
You let him do it for 10 minutes, and then you don't let him on ever again. It's ridiculous.
Okay, I just disagree with that. Go
I
ahead,
think
Dev.
the issue is, like-
Just real quick,
I think
Dev's
the
been
issue
trying
is,
to get
like-
in. Dev ahead.
Oh, yeah, if Devin
Oh
wants
no,
to say
no,
anything,
no.
he can go.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead. I'll talk after.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, no, I think that like Soypo's right that Drew is a grifter. I obviously agree, but I think to some extent, like, I don't know. I think it's maybe it's just like I have a pretty like lenient view of platforming. I think it is useful to show these people are grifting. I don't think the issue comes from them grifting. I think the issue is when like we're being told like, well, you guys can have more serious treat. We don't need to treat them like serious people then when we have conversations with them. That's all. I don't think it's about platforming or not. I think it's just about how we treat them in the platforms. That's all.
Just Soypill, can you mute when you're not talking just because of the noise?
Is someone
Sorry,
dropping?
I know I'm
plates back there?
intimidating you, Wick. I'm sorry I'm intimidating you with my big weights. So
No, it's the noise. It's not. We can hear it on the camera. So, go ahead, Dev, please. You had something to say.
Imagine being at the gym and overhearing this conversation.
Is that what you had to say? Great, wonderful, honest. This has been.
No.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well,
No, Dev, everyone in this gym is an illegal immigrant, so they can't understand me. It's fine.
Okay, nice. No, this was a shit show debate, but I do think that there's definitely value in talking to people like Drew and the pedophile guy. Whatever, I forget his name. I just know he's a pedophile. But there's value in talking to Drew and the other guy.
Oh, you call him a pedophile. Do you have evidence that he's a pedophile?
Oh yeah, sure. Hold on, I can send it to you.
Dang.
This is actually a big thing.
But go on with your as you're sending me. Go on with your point.
We're just all chilling.
It's fine.
Okay.
No, hold on. I'm getting the pedophile evidence. Give
I
me,
want to
like,
see the
30
pedophile
seconds.
evidence. I do. Like, cause
How's art grade?
Is everybody a pedophile today? This is base. I like it. Okay, that's good. You know, I'll just pedo out together. Share links. Anybody check the
Okay.
look card? I'm just kidding. Never mind.
Okay, I just DM'd it to you, Wick. Under his previous internet name, he said, "Fuck it, what do I have to lose? I'm deactivating anyway. I'm a pedophile." The only thing that makes
Paste? Hello?
the only thing that feels beautiful to me is destroying young lives, making them as ruined as me. There is no peace. It's like, oh, I guess he's just outright admitting it. Okay.
this is the same guy, or we like what's the evidence that these are the same people?
So if you were to hop onto like the Wayback Machine or like an archive site and plug his Twitter account into those sites, it comes up as saying formerly known as Psyche, and the Psyche Twitter account said, "I'm a pedophile." So
Jesus. That sounds like an ad hom to me, to be honest.
I did not know that. I guess, Hunter, if you wanna dispute these allegations, by all means, you'd be allowed back on. I did not know this, but fair enough. Okay, yeah. What do you think of the debate as a whole, Dev? Do you think it's useful to have people like Drew on, or what?
it is, but mainly just to destroy them, like to destroy them completely and utterly. Like anybody who watched the Enrique Tarrio debate last time, that was a fucking joke. Like he couldn't any debate that, well, frankly, that I've been involved in, but in generally any debate with people who are pro MAGA who just lie about the facts constantly, it is always useful to make them look like retards. Always, 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 always.
Okay, so
Oh,
Dev is
hello.
Team Wick, Soy Pills anti-Wick. This is where we're going. Minnie, what do you have to say?
I wanted to say one thing. You should absolutely not give any ground on the idea that you can just like theorize about what law should be in a vacuum. That is not at all. Like the whole point of our legal system is that laws have to fit together with rights, and our precedent is important. And this idea that you can kind of just like fuck around and like theorize about what you think would be the right law in a situation is stupid, and you shouldn't give them that ground. I mean, I could talk more about that, but I feel like no one hearing that probably would disagree with it in that the way I said it. And Destiny, you need to read more about the fucking Biden's border policy. Maybe you have and you just don't care anymore, and that's why you're not bringing it up. But like Cato's done write-ups on this.
Yeah, I know. I've seen the 3-part. Yeah, I know. But it's just not even worth. That's one of those claims. It's like so outlandish. Like people aren't even ready to engage with it. It's fucking ridiculous. But no, I am familiar with that.
What's going on here?
Just basically that Biden basically handled the border better than Trump did, and you can't really blame Biden for the influence. But it's like this is like so outside of where the political conversation is now that it's.
I feel like you take these stances though, where you like there are moments where you're like, no, I'm going to take this like really stupid stance to like stress test the fact that you don't know anything. But you never do it with immigration. And there's like moments where you'll catch people on like, oh, you said da 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 da, and it's like when people say let in, like I feel like letting like those comments are like, but if that's like I get it. If
No,
you're,
I
like,
agree.
aware
They're
of all the things-
stupid, but like you can't even. I agree with you so much. Listen, try it in a debate. Like the idea that like Biden is even intentionally letting people in is just such a stupid fucking point. It's all stupid. I agree with you though. It is stupid. I don't know.
Like half these people are just anti-immigration as a whole. They don't care, and then they also don't care about the factual matter. They're also just going to
That too. But I mean, like the biggest own that does it will never ever make any sense ever is if it was such a huge fucking deal. Why did we block legislation to actually do something about getting rid of the people in this country that would have chewed through the immigration backlogs, the asylum seeker backlogs? But then we didn't do that, and that's never coming. Trump is never doing that. That legislation is never coming in the United States. But they don't give a fuck about any of it. Immigration was never as big a deal as they thought it was. It's all bullshit to them.
I get that, but I feel like I think people keep bringing up, it's like, why did it take so long? The reason it took so long is because up until Title 42 ended, like we had 100% or like 90 whatever percent like expulsion from the border, and the bipartisan border bill started like months. It was like either in the lead up to or the end of like Title 42 going away. So there was
which was I think was in 22 or 23. It was
like 20, yeah. And then
Biden it was years
border
before.
bills was drafted in 23. Voted on 24, early 24, late 23.
Yeah, I just feel like there's just moments that have frustrated me because I feel like I understand, like what you like. You're the not getting into it, and like obviously you have to concede things that are fantastical. I just feel like there are moments where it's like by not responding at least at all, you're like conceding that you believe that to be true, and that's just me being autistic about those like small
Sure.
moments.
No, I understand. Yeah.
I understand your point of view. Yeah. I just think like of all the things to be like I feel like the problem is that it's like I think that you use sometimes like with this like the whole like why did we do that? Why did we shoot the border bill down? I feel like you're relying on intuition calls to like oh well wouldn't blah blah blah, but like that requires them to have all the same other understandings about everything else all at once, and like I think conservatives just kind of like even if the facts don't all line up, I think they just respect like info dumps. If you can just like speak to things. Like that's the reason why they feel that like they're smart, because they just have been info dumped a lot about a lot of random shit, even if half the stuff they've been info dumped on is just like completely wrong. And if you're able to speak to immigration, like I have had conversations with people where I talk about immigration. I'm not going to say like the come to Jesus moment, but like just being able to speak to like the fact that Biden sent more people back to Mexico than the entirety of the return to Mexico policy because he had Title 42 to do it. Like,
yeah,
like
I mean, I think
things
return
like
to
this
Mexico
are-
by the end, wasn't it like 40 to 50,000 people total or something that got?
Yeah, it was.
That they
It
were
was
even
barely
reta-
anything.
Yeah,
And it was on its way
yeah.
out too. Like there wasn't even like we didn't even know if it was going to survive the courts.
The
But
legal
just the
challenges,
fact,
yeah.
like, yeah, and just the fact that like, fucking, like if you look at the numbers, like Biden sent like at a factor of 10 more people back to Mexico when encountering them from the border. But I like it's yeah, you kind of just have to judge when it's worth it to go
Sure.
into it.
Maybe
And
I'll
also,
maybe I'll memorize like a little gish gallop of like 5 or 10 of these little facts. Maybe yeah.
I think it would be good. I think there are moments
Okay.
like there are conversations with like the stage things even. The only other thing I'll criticize, you need to focus on the fucking Mike Pence tweet more. It was
They
like
have an
30
excuse for
minutes-
every fucking I know, but they have an excuse for every fucking tweet and everything, and it's just like no matter like it's just so fucking like the fact that they could look at that Trump tweet and go, oh no, that was him calling for peace, and then you've got like the mayor of Minneapolis and the governor of Minnesota that are giving these impassioned pleas for peaceful, and they're like, well, I don't know, that doesn't seem peaceful. It's
No, but the idea the stay peaceful tweet is not the same tweet as the Mike Pence tweet. The Mike Pence tweet was like
where they
45
say
minutes in.
sure,
And like there
yeah.
was one time you mentioned that it's like it happened, it was foreseeable, whether or not you want to say he caused it. But then once it happened, he waited 30 minutes and then publicly tweeted that didn't involve
that he
a
failed
cause.
us. Yeah.
But they like I feel like to start with like the immediate concession, like the hard line of he tried to take advantage of it, he stoked it, he tacitly admitted it. Like I agree with your conclusions on all the following things that like, yeah, he's like morally culpable for it. He like ultimately stay peaceful was not enough. Like blah, blah, blah. But like the like, I think those require intuition on other things that you don't share with the person you're talking to. Whereas like, did he wait 30 minutes and then text Mike Pence didn't have the courage that needed to be done when he learned about the riots like 30 minutes earlier? Like there's no, maybe I get someone will be able to rationalize that, but that's like starting with,
I mean,
you have
that's
to,
true,
like,
but we
break
saw it
the
in real-
character first.
It's true, but we saw it in real time, like where they were just like, "Oh, but like, no, it wasn't that." Like they're always like, "No, that isn't that bad." Or they always have some kind of excuse for it.
I've listened to
you see in every
I've listened
interaction.
to a fuck ton of conversations about this. This point is made. If it's ever made, it's made like an hour into the conversation under someone's breath, and the other person doesn't really hear it because they're like talking over it. And like the one time, it was like Destiny and Pisco at some point, they held on this idea that like by tweeting at Mike Pence and not calling them down at that one moment that he was tacitly like endorsing the violence, like the other person shut the fuck up after that point. They didn't say anything.
Literally every single thing. Like the issue is, like I agree, but like this kind of goes back to the whole issue with debating these people and why like we don't need to take it super seriously. Is that like they don't care? They'll hear it and they'll be like whatever, and they'll make any excuse for it.
Yeah, here's the problem though.
Well, maybe that's a stronger tweet to stand on than the other one, or whatever. That could be the case.
Yeah, here's the problem I have though, Stormwolf, and I do got to cycle a couple of you guys out. There's people who want still in, but I guess my pushback against, well, we shouldn't even take these people seriously. They're not serious people. We shouldn't debate them seriously. Is that we have people who do take them seriously watching, and whether they should or not is a different question. And I think that when we refuse to even engage, when it looks like we're just not engaging with what they're saying, it does hurt us optically, and it does hurt us in persuasive power.
Sure, we should engage. I mean, sure, we should engage, but we also don't need to we don't I think Destiny did it really well, where it's like, why are we talking about whether or not the insurrection should be applied when they can't even acknowledge whether or not the icing was you should push them on being able to agree on facts, and if they can't agree on simple facts, then where's the conversation going, right? Why does this administration have any authority if they can just lie blatantly lie?
I think that it's okay to point out these lies. It's okay to remind people that they're lying, but when you don't even at least, I don't know, it just felt like we didn't get to actually have the conversation at all, and that sucked.
We could have. If they had underlying facts, though, we could have, but
that's the point. This conversation starting on a ground where it's impossible to have, because the underlying facts matter. When we talk about why we're invoking the Insurrection Act, the underlying facts of that matters. And if they can't agree to those underlying facts, and they can't agree that Donald Trump lied about those underlying facts, how do we proceed forward? And this is the issue. Facts matter, and if we're living in different realities, we can't proceed with conversations. That's why every conversation with Republicans now has to start with what is the truth.
Go ahead, Devin. I know Soypill has to go, so Soypill, say your piece.
I'll just ask the question to everybody here. For a guy like Drew, who is a thought leader, he's a well-known talking head, is he lying or is he ignorant? Which is it?
Both.
I
would say it's a level of negligent recklessness. He's reckless. If he cared about this, then he would know the facts. And the fact that he doesn't care about it, it means that even if it's not intentional, it's basically the same as. It's up to the level of gross negligence.
Because I feel like I don't remember, because I remember just seeing it on my feed, but I feel like Drew's tweets massively changed when Trump won, and then when he saw the momentum behind Charlie Kirk, it feels like every time something happens and he feels like the right wing is more profitable, he just goes there. I could be wrong though. I'm not trying to say that explicitly. It's just what I remember off his tweets, but I could be wrong. I'll admit that. But like Destiny said, even if that's not the case, the blatant level of ignorance is a problem.
So it's one of those things where he could know, but he just doesn't. It's if I looked into this, I'll be proven wrong, so I'm not going to look into it because I don't want to have to lie, basically.
It could be that, or it could be he just doesn't care. It might not even be a conscious thing. He just doesn't care.
Okay.
I think it's just the basic selective skepticism. You just are convinced of fundamental truth.
Midi, real quick. Soypill has to say something.
I'm going to head out. But I'm not saying you can never talk to these people, but obviously, I would love to have, when you did Me versus the World, you had all these dipshits on. Great, cool. The problem is that you're holding a debate and you're presenting this as two people representing each side, which is not what's happening. Now, granted, for a lot of MAGA stuff, everyone is this much of a lying, grifting piece of shit. But for the most part, if you take someone who is completely grifting and lying and misrepresenting just to fill the position that you're saying is the legitimate other side of the conversation, you are enabling that. If you want to have Drew on for the roast of Drew, look at he's such a fucking retard, great. But if you're going to have an actual MAGA sycophant on and not someone I don't mind you.
They do represent the side, though.
Drew.
They do represent that side.
No, he doesn't.
They do.
No, we just talked about this. Drew does not genuinely believe what he's saying. That's the point.
But he is a thought leader on the right for MAGA.
Dodge the fact he's sure.
Yes.
That doesn't mean that
so again, he is a representative of the side, and as you say, if you can show that the representatives of these people's sides are lying grifters, isn't that a W for you, right?
Yeah, sure. Look, if you want to have him on, sure. At least can you
I will. I don't let people tell me who
I
can and can't have on, frankly. But
I didn't say you couldn't have him.
I know. I'm just saying.
If you're gonna have him on, you should preface at the beginning.
I should preface. Okay, I do appreciate
just title your video. Left-wingers versus lying grifting pieces of shit.
Maybe we have to have a debate on this, Soypill, on platforming debate. Me and Soypill, okay? Destiny will fucking moderate, and we can yell at each other when you're not busy at your sweaty.
Love you. Give me my $10 back.
Okay. No. Bye. See you later. Sorry. Okay. I'm gonna cycle a couple of you out.
Just real quick before I gotta go.
No, you can stay. We're not doing this fairly, okay?
No, I should drop it anyway, but I sent you a video. You should play it, okay?
What is it?
I'll see you later, man.
Okay, see you later, man. Okay, new people.
Play the video.
What do you got? You're live.
Oh, hey, Yeah, I noticed. I didn't expect to be dragged in. Truly.
Okay, do you have anything, or should we go to other people? Okay, beautiful. Let's have someone else. What do you got, Mr. B? I guess I can't see your full name.
It's Babza. It's fine.
Go ahead. What do you got?
No, I do. I'm sorry. I was just waiting. But let me mute. I'm sorry.
I'm going to grab cheese. No, because I went to.
Okay, Robert Paulson. I don't know what that was. What are we doing here, gang? Come on. Wonderful. We are. This has been a great call-in section of the stream. Love to see it.
Okay.
But all these people aren't serious. I think that's kind of going to what.
Jesus.
What
Soy Pill
was saying.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, but I think you are giving them kind of a sliding scale. Like, and I do understand that because there's not a lot of conservatives that are willing to debate, right? Like, I think that's understandable, but I think it's kind of like you guys are talking past each other. But they're definitely lying intentionally, and I think that you can see that with the selectivity of their ignorance. Their selectivity of their ignorance is what betrays the fact that they're lying.
Okay.
If someone just
That's why I brought up the thing about like drawing the Hunter Biden cock, because they know every single fucking thing about their chosen conspiracies, but they don't know about the largest, craziest fucking things happen on the conservative side. It's just unbelievable.
If you just approach some random person on the street and you ask them these questions, a lot of them are gonna just be like, "Oh, I don't know," and they might not know. But these people, they do know. They live and breathe this. So, but anyways, if I'm gonna criticize Destiny here because the other guy isn't here, Soundboard got a little cringe after the second time, probably.
I thought it was based every time, actually. I think it actually got more funny every single time I used it.
Yeah, okay. Well,
it was funny the first time. Yeah, I'll give you that. But it just was like too
I will
much.
say one big thing that I really wish these conservatives they push on the point about California having a net negative amount of people leaving the state of California. They look at that as a failure of the California state. Why is it that we do not look at this the same way when we're talking about the net immigration loss in the United States? Net immigration loss in the United States is seen as this huge win. That's a big thing that
they just real quick to kind of like short circuit you a little bit. Yes, they don't want immigrants and they want less immigrants. So for them, it is a win.
So not to get too nerdy, right? Like, if we're playing any kind of game where you have like worker management, if you're just saying like, hey, we can give you like 50 more workers, and
but what they're
saying during the debate is like
the answer to that is we're not an economic zone. That what they would say is we're not an economic zone. We're a people. We're a bloodline. We're a culture, and they worry that immigrants will change the culture, and a lot of them that's code for white replacement and shit like that, right? But like this argument doesn't work because they don't care about that. They just don't.
It does work because despite that line of thinking, throughout the entire inception of the United States, we have had giant waves of immigration. And despite that, we have allowed people to come in. I mean, do you disagree with that? I mean, I know that you're not
I'm pro-immigration. I am just giving you their arguments.
Well, no, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that.
You're fine. But I'm pro-immigration. I think they're wildly incorrect on their assumptions, wildly incorrect on what they should care about. But I'm telling you, having dealt with these people, this is their argument, and they do not care whether the GDP go up a point or two, right? They would argue that immigration hurts the culture. We are not an economic zone. We are a people. We are a bloodline, and it pollutes our bloodline, basically.
Right, and my answer to that would be the fact that since the inception of the United States, we have been a country of immigrants, and we have had giant waves of that. And I think that kind of short circuits in the other direction. But aside from that, like I don't really have any other.
Sure. What do you got? Friendly Test and Rinyald. What do you got?
Hello. I am. Oh wait, do you want to go first, buddy?
No, go nuts, man. Go crazy.
I am Team Wick. Okay. I want to ask, like, when we have debates like that, what are we angling for? Like, what's the point of doing those? Because like I don't think there's a world where like anybody watches that and comes out with like more information in regard to the Insurrection Act, or with like a better view of anybody who's not,
Well, it's
pro
interesting you
MAGA.
bring that up, man. That's actually the reason I'm here. The fact that like all these guys kind of jump on. So Destiny at one point in time, and don't get me wrong, I'm not a huge fan of Destiny, but the fact that all those guys jumped on like all at once, and they kind of nitpick at each thing they like about Trump, like it's a weird sushi train, taking what they like, gobbling it up, and then hating everything else, despite the fact that the entire sushi train has been infected with salmonella. The fact that they keep doing this over and over and over again, representing what they enjoy, but trying to dissuade themselves from being connected to Trump in any regard is insane, because it's all been tainted. So it's very interesting to see these guys jump on, make these conversations over and over and over again, despite the fact that it's all poison.
I agree, and I agree that like I agree with the overview of like how corrosive MAGA mindsets are, but I feel like we're slowly working to the point where debate just isn't useful anymore, right? Because like we're not changing anybody's minds here. I don't think we're changing, like what it used to be is that you change the viewers' minds through debate, right? Like you kind of use, how like in video essays they do like the straw man voice for different talking points. You could kind of do that, but it's not a straw man voice because somebody else is saying it. But I didn't like when I was watching that debate and I watched the whole thing, I didn't see like any straw man voice get addressed, right? It just kind of felt like all memeing, which if it's all memeing, then it's all memeing. But like, I just don't like, was that what the angle was the entire time? Or like, were we expecting to have a productive conversation there?
I'm not the moderator. What do you guys
I feel
think?
like
I think that question's to Destiny, right? Like I was expecting a productive conversation, or at least maybe not productive, but at least we would talk about the issues at hand instead of you're lying, right?
My goal was to have a conversation, but we have to establish a shared reality. And then if we weren't going to establish a shared reality, then my goal was to just meme into fucking oblivion. Because this is what you would do with any single topic in the history of everything. We can bring up any concept of engineering or science or math or whatever you want. If somebody didn't have a basic fundamental groundwork of what they were talking about, you wouldn't entertain a higher level conversation. Nobody would waste their time on that. Nobody would do it. This is true in gaming. People who try to talk strats or whatever in StarCraft or League, and they're like fucking Silver League players. Why the fuck were you talking serious? You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You're a little noob. No offense, but it would be the same thing with the concept. If you don't even know the basic facts of a thing, then why would you discuss the application of the Insurrection Act to it? It's stupid.
I partially agree, but I feel like that argument could probably be used against debating MAGA period at this point, because like almost any Trump supporter that you're going to be able to talk to is either going to be so mind-numbingly retarded on everything that they're not going to have a solid position, or they're going to be lying because they have a position and they can't defend it. Right. So like, I don't even know why we debate with Republicans.
They're not full-fledged MAGA, man. They're not like they're individuals that just pick and choose. They just like the aspects that are actually going for them in every regard. It doesn't matter.
It's the same thing though. Like, I don't even know why we would debate with these people if like the bar is we can't engage in ideas because the person that's delivering the ideas is bad faith. Like, I agree that's the case, but then it kind of feels like debate as a concept is kind of dead at that point, right?
Until they kind of get the idea that their ideas are already tainted by the fact that they're supporting basically a regime that's doing absolute damage to the American system as a whole, it doesn't matter at this point, right?
Well, I think that the
Like
fact
they're holding up a house
hold on, just real quick, if I may, then I want to hear
then.
from the rest of you, right? If I may, though, like I think that one of the, not the only driver, maybe not even the main driver, but a substantial driver of why things are going the way they are going politically for MAGA right now, and I think they're going to suffer. They're going to suffer a wild defeat in the midterms, right? Is because this keeps happening on not just WIC TV, right, but on actual CNN, on MSNBC, and all these kind of news organizations, these interviews with high-profile people. It's clear that, like, did you guys see Jake Tapper versus Kristi Noem? Did you guys see that debate that they had?
Yeah.
It was clear Kristi Noem had no idea what she was talking about. And I think it was helpful that Jake Tapper was able to just calmly go through and give her the facts and showcase the facts and kind of juxtapose his knowledge and mastery of the topic versus someone who was just there, didn't know what they were talking about. And I think that is helping us.
This is not an interview.
But if Jake Tapper had all he had done is just started memeing, I don't think it would have been as effective.
This is not an interview. We're not interviewing individuals from the Trump administration. We're literally discussing among
I disagree with that.
natural
If he could have
citizens of the
gotten,
United States.
if he could have made her cry on TV, that would have been, we would have won every election immediately. They would have resigned from office. She needs to be crying on TV.
I think that's a kind of a mean position. Tess, do you have anything, or are you just here to hang out?
No. I had 3 things. First of all, I was a bit mad that you didn't read my super chat.
Which one is it? I'll read it right now.
It's no. I can say it myself. So
Let him be mad.
basically, I made fun about the fact that you could establish that the church protesters were actually just praying very loudly. So everyone just prayed on their own, and basically
Hold on, you
taking them
guys
out of the church. would have
you guys do know
obstructed
that
their
a lot
faith.
of people are in you might I think it's a little silly, but a lot of people are justifiably angry at what happened at that church. Like, they did disrupt the service. I think that the right is taking it way out of proportion, right? And I think that honestly, sometimes
I am being good faith. They're not here anymore, so you know I'm not lying to you. But okay, I'm not lying to you. I really did look for videos of what the fuck people were talking about. Yeah. I saw videos, I think, of for less than an hour, people were inside of a church protesting. I didn't see anybody telling them to leave or asking them to leave. Maybe somebody did off camera. I don't know if I saw cops show up or not. Like, what the fuck happened?
So,
I'm a bit confused on that as well.
Yeah, as I understand it, they organized a protest, about 20 of them. Don Lemon was there to kind of be the reporter. As I understand it, again, I watched this a couple days ago, right? So, forgive me if I make mistakes. But they came in and they started yelling and shouting at the congregation and to the pastor, and they were there to protest ICE. They started going around yelling, screaming, etc. I don't think it was appropriate, frankly. I think there's good reasons not to allow protests in a church, but I think that calling it like an attack was kind of.
Well, okay, so like my question is like, one, and I know this sounds really pedantic, but I'm like, did anybody ask them to leave or tell them to leave?
I didn't hear that, but again, I don't know.
But
because like I don't think that's illegal, right? Like anybody can walk into most churches and then start.
Yeah, you can start shouting. You can start.
If they tell you to leave, then you don't leave. Then it's illegal. It's trespassing. You should be kicked out or arrested.
When I was active when I was growing up in the Mormon church and stuff, we would have on occasion, and it happened 2 or 3 times, where someone would actually actively challenge the preacher or whoever was speaking, and things like that. And they, again, had a discourse. There was a point, at least in one of them, where we did escort the guy out because he was just yelling, screaming, and disrupting everything, right? But yeah, the other 2, it was fine. But I think it's kind of like, if they're actively trying to have a conversation, it's one thing, but if they're just actively screaming, I think it's fair for the church to be like, get the fuck out of here. You're not.
Yeah, no one is disputing that. I'm just asking, did they say that?
Did they ask them to leave? I don't know.
Right?
I don't know. If
like,
anyone
you understand
in chat
how problematic it is that nobody even knows this, and I only watched an hour of the video, maybe. But so like my intuition is that nobody even told him to leave, because I feel like if that was the case, we would just have video of that, and the conservatives would be screaming about that. But if I were to listen
people in chat are saying they do. Like if you have a clip of them asking them to leave, send it to me. I will play it on stream.
I'm just curious because
like
I said, I watched about an hour, I think, of the Don Lemon stuff.
If they did, then they should have left. Problem solved.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, like I said,
what the one guy here was talking about, it sounds like there was like a fucking like a riot at the church, and like the building's being destroyed, or that like people were being attacked or threatened, and I don't know. When I saw it, just looked like kind of a protest. People were inside.
Yeah, people are saying that there are, but send it to my DMs and we will watch it. But like, yeah. Anyway, sorry, Tess, I interrupted you. Go ahead, continue.
I like my second thing was I'm a bit confused about, like, we know that on May 11th of 2023 Title 42 expired, and on May 23rd of 2024 the Senate voted down the border bill. So basically Trump has time until the February 1st to establish a bill to seal the border, or otherwise he objectively is worse in sealing the border via legislation than Biden. which is kind of funny.
I mean, Republicans don't even want a bill, right? Like that's something that they probably say. So
Yes. They'll say that the executive order was enough, and they don't actually like the idea of having more asylum judges, and they just want them all fucking thrown out or whatever.
We didn't need new legislation. We needed a new president.
Yeah. Trump showed that he could do what needed to be done, just as the president, without needing the weak loser Congress to do anything.
And the last thing I wanted to ask is why didn't no one address the fact that the Ash guy at the beginning in his opening statement said that the people voted for Trump to do this shit, but basically the people where Trump does his shit voted against him, like Minnesota, California, and so basically.
I mean, I kind of brought this up when that's just like a stupid point. Like the people vote, just because somebody votes for the president to do a thing doesn't mean he has the unilateral authority to do whatever he wants, like in any part of the country. But yeah, I mean, like to your point, even more specifically, like people didn't vote to do it.
What was the specifics there? He was saying literally like everything he's doing with ICE as of right now is okay.
Basically, because people voted for it. It was a stupid talking point.
I mean, by that standard, the people
Something's going to
voted for
come
the
into
Biden
measure
border
here at some point in
invasion,
time.
right?
That's going to be an issue for them, right?
The people what?
That funding is going to become an issue for him in regards to ICE. Hey, sorry, excuse me. Like at some point in time, Congress is going to look at the funding that they're actually attributing to ICE, and that's going to become a problem in a month, isn't it not?
I don't know. I don't know. When you say Congress, I don't know what they. I'm not actually sure what they do anymore, so I don't know.
We talked about this in backstage, and it seems like the Democrats actually become the party of states' rights when it comes to stuff like that. Which is kind of funny.
Yes. Well, I'm going to cycle a couple of you. I want to get as many people as I can. So thank you for coming, ladies and gentlemen.
Love you, Wick. Oh my.
Okay, you're live. Oh, well, not him. Okay, you're live, gang.
What? What's up?
Okay, gang, don't hit join voice when I pull you in. You have something to say? Say. Right, go ahead. You're live.
Good one, guys.
Hello?
Yeah, you're here to talk to the show. What do you have to say?
I'm talking.
Okay, what do you got?
Hello, Kirk Henry. I just joined backstage. I did not know what the fuck was going on. I just got randomly pulled in here. So that's my
Okay, well, great. What about you, MK? You got anything? You're deafened still? Okay, we're just going to cycle both of you out. I'm sorry. Okay.
Whoa. Hey,
You're live.
how's it going?
Yeah. What do you got?
So, I just more had a comment, I guess. The one of the things that bothers me about shit like this, like dealing with these kind of people. So I have a PhD in chemistry with a focus in atmospheric science. You can kind of guess how that goes normally with conservatives because they believe fucking global warming's fake. They believe all this other shit. This is more of like, do you have advice on how to handle somebody like that you know personally that does this kind of shit to you? Because I know people that personally believe the shit I do in real life is completely fake, and I don't know if I just
I got a lot of friends who are like doctors and stuff who hear the same thing from their family members about like vaccines and stupid shit, everything too. Yeah, I feel really bad. I'm glad I don't have that shit. Well, I guess my mom does it for me with debaters and stuff. So
my immediate family is like super lib, but it's insane to have to deal with, and I know you've had to deal with it as well with your family. So it's like I don't even know how to address that shit when they bring it up at this point, because it's like I don't live in the same reality with these people. But obviously I can't.
No clue.
I can't meme like you guys can out of the for the content. So that's all I wanted to say.
Saying, you can have that discussion,
that's true.
But they have to pay you to do it. I don't know. I don't have an answer for you.
Is that technically consulting?
Probably. What about you other guys? What do you got?
So I guess for Destiny, do you feel like the way that you conduct yourself now in these debates is better or worse than like say 2 years ago? Because I feel like
Better.
2 years ago when I watched your content, well, I guess I clearly I kind of disagree. But I felt like you were going into these conservative spaces and you were kind of making a mockery of them just by how much facts and knowledge that you have on all these different topics. And every time they would try to stray down some alley, that you just immediately be prepared for it and you would just shut them down. And it kind of, I could see your audience growing during that time as well. And it's kind of stagnated. And I feel like it's because you've switched to more of this aggressive, which is like good for, I guess, the liberal side. But I don't really know how.
Well, I think it's stagnated. I think the last year more has to do with the fact that an insane conservative and then an e-whore decided to fucking do a year worth of legislation against me, or civil litigation against me. I think it's the big thing. But no, I think the issue is that like in terms of like reaching out to kind of like centristy people or conservatives, like that reach is probably less. But right now I'm more just kind of like, I think that liberals should have some fun times and have some things to, stand taller on, I think is a more important thing right now. That's what I'm more interested in. I don't care if conservatives don't like me as much. I think that these people have proven that they're get little to no consideration intellectually or morally at the moment. I'm not interested in kind of like trying to appeal to them the same way that when all the conservatives were doing their Ben Shapiro fucking mentally rapes college students and Milo Yiannopoulos fucking obliterates tranny losers and all this, like they didn't seem to give much of a fuck about how do we appeal to the left. All they did was constantly shit on people on our side, dehumanize and whatever else they could do to anybody on our side while making their side feel all hip and cool and everything else. And I think it'd be better to have like a stronger liberal side. And I think that, so while I might lose the reach with conservatives, I just think that liberals should have a stronger voice. And then it also helps us kind of like ward off the CCP page shills like Hassan Piker and everything from the left too, because there's like a stronger liberal side that you can actually point to. You don't have to feel embarrassed when he's like, oh, I support like the liberal candidate or the liberal movement, because you have things that you can speak positively of, like stronger positions they have, rather than this endless apologia that you have to play in order to get conservatives to like acknowledge that you have a legitimate point before they, waddle on down to the voting booth to vote for a conservative again.
I definitely agree with a lot of what you said. I think the center right though is where, like, that's kind of where I was. I was center left and then I kind of moved center right, and then watching your content pulled me back. And I do feel like at the end of the day with these elections and these debates, like you're just fighting over the center, the extremes, you're never going to win. And I just feel like it's I don't know. I understand everything you're saying. It just, as somebody that you kind of moved back over from the right, it just feels bad because I try to send this to other people that I can see that are center right content watchers, and I'm like, watch this guy. And whereas 2 years ago I could get those people to come back over, I feel like the content now that definitely doesn't work. They don't even hear what you're saying. Like, man, this guy's just unhinged. And I'm like, are you not listening to what he's saying though? Because I feel like what he's saying makes a lot of sense and gets people back. But I don't know, maybe I'm just
sure. You know what? Here's a challenge that I would give to you, because I've had friends that are conservatives that I've had this personal. These have gotten really nasty. Actually, if you read Lauren's book or whatever, we met in New York, this was part of the argument that I had with her, because she would always do this thing where she'd be like, oh, well, when you were being nicer to conservatives, you had a better time communicating them, blah, blah, blah. And one of my huge points was, show me a single fucking conversation, one conversation you've had with a conservative friend where you've told them that they're going too hard. And for her, she couldn't give me a single fucking one. None. And there's always some excuse, well, I expect you to act better, or you read blah, blah, blah. It's like bullshit. Like this is the double standard is crazy. I'm curious, if I were to ask you, and I mean, you don't have to show me conversation, but like, are you also like, are you telling your conservative friends, like, you're way overboard, bro? Like, you need to chill out. Like, this is really dehumanizing, or it's crazy how they're attacking trans people or immigrants or minorities like this. Like, it just seems like there's never that same hand-wringing on the right.
I mean, I definitely, with my parents, with friends that I have, like coworkers that are super right-leaning, I always kind of, if somebody's really extreme, I tend to, I don't know what you would call it, I guess a contrarian, but if somebody's swinging way too hard one way, I will definitely try to orbit the other way of like trying to get them to realize how ridiculous what they're saying. So I
well, sure, but wait, real quick. When you say swinging too hard one way, in my mind, the swinging too hard one way is the policy positions of the current administration. Not like they're saying like, oh, we need to have death camps, but like the current policy position of the current administration is swinging too far one way. So if somebody's out here and they're saying like, well, right now I think I just support, like ICE breaking into people's houses and like deporting people and not even really getting proper warrants to do it. And I think that Trump is actually within his rights to be jailing and arresting political dissidents in the United States and everything. Like that, in my mind, if you're just saying like, okay, well, I can respect your position, and then you turn to somebody like me on the left, like Destiny, you're going way too hard when you're making fun of these people for not knowing basic facts or anything they're talking about. In my mind, like this is not an equivalent. This is not a world that I accept. That's what I mean. Yeah.
It's also a question I've had for a while.
No, just
sorry to cut you off.
Yeah,
Max,
no, just
yeah, go ahead.
Just real quick, like when you say this, that where are the people who are saying, hey, you're going too far on the liberals, hey, you're going too far on the left, you need to tone it down. I can't point to a talking head who said that off the top of my head, but I can point to friends and family members who I know voted for Trump and who have defended me when other family members, other friends accost me and say, oh, you're a baby killer because you're a liberal. Oh, you're this. They have absolutely stood up
I
and
don't
said,
care.
no, you need
Those
to
family
stop.
and friends that you're talking about are even worse human beings because they're incapable of extending the personal empathy that they have towards you for people that aren't in their immediate vicinity. I always say that these people need to be locked in mental institutions forever because I think you have severe cognitive impairment if you can't imagine a thing that exists outside of the room that you're in.
It's not
that I
about
could walk into
imagining
one
a
of these
thing that
people's rooms,
exists.
I could steal their wallet, and then I could put my hands over my face and they would go, where did he go? I can't see him anymore. That's crazy to me.
You asked for a situation where there was a conversation where they were saying, hey, you're going too hard on the left. I gave you an
No,
example
not
of
on the
that.
left, but you didn't say on the left. You said it was on you personally. That's fine that they're defending you personally because you're a family or friend, but I'm talking about a general check on the rhetoric in general on the right versus the left. I never hear
so
people
you're
on the
saying-
right do this to themselves.
Oh, so you're saying a right-leaning person that checks
It's telling other right-leaning
Other
people,
type
like,
to
hey,
tone it
bro,
down.
like
The
maybe
left
this is like
isn't
a little
all
bit too
evil.
much.
The
I
left
never
isn't
hear
all
that.
bad. I've heard, well, not the left, but liberals aren't all evil. Liberals aren't all bad, right? I've absolutely heard that in my personal
Okay,
life.
I never hear this interpersonally. And no, them defending you personally doesn't count. It has to be like a defense of the left, because nobody, when they attack me, it's not like, oh, you personally hurt my right-leaning friend. It's, oh, well, you shouldn't go so hard on all the people on the right in general because you might turn some of them off with your rhetoric and it's unfair to generalize them all. Not about a personal thing, but they're saying like politically in terms of their speech. It's different to do that versus having somebody saying like, oh, don't attack my friend personally. Not everybody on the left is a bad person. Those are like different positions to take.
Okay, $20 from Poopy Toaster. Oh, thank you. Says, crazy how these some callers expect Destiny to make good points and change people's minds. Meanwhile, Drew is just expected to wipe the drool off his face. I'll address that. Yes, I expect more of Destiny because he has more ability than Drew does. I think that Drew's ability is much, much less. So why would I expect him to do the same thing as Destiny? I expect Drew to do what Drew did tonight. That's what I expect. I don't know. But that's why I wouldn't vote for Drew, where I might vote for Destiny, right? That's why
I kind of understand Destiny's position a little bit, just because I've seen previous conversations like the ones he had with Ben Shapiro and et cetera, where they were, I mean, even if you look at the comments on those videos, you get that classic conservative like, oh, this Destiny guy isn't so bad, blah, blah, blah. But these people are still fucking going out and just voting down the party line for this insane shit over and over.
I don't know.
And I don't know how you break out of that.
I don't know. I think what Destiny was doing, I think was the way to break out of it. I think somebody's got to start that like olive branch, and then you eventually start to pull people back over to your side of like, oh, this guy's pretty reasonable. They start to listen to all of your points. I think right now, especially now, anytime you come in and you're just so hard right out of the gate, their brains just turn off. They can't even hear what you're saying. All they hear is you screaming and using I mean, it was really funny when you used.
Yeah, but how did they win so many elections? How did Trump win the second election? They never did. When the fuck is Trump olive branching?
No. Well, they only won in 2024 because, well, in my opinion, the left went a little too crazy at some points and they lost to center right or center
Against
left.
with Harris? Harris was too much?
No, I think it was before that. It was really kind of in between. Well, no, I guess it would have been from 20.
It's too late.
20
You've
and
already said it.
beyond.
I'm killing myself. I can't. I'm sorry.
Okay. J Guy.
Like, come on, Biden and Harris, these are like the nicest, most milquetoast people in the
it's not
universe. And this is
not
too
the policy
extreme.
people. Not the policy. I think it's all the. It's the
Twitter
social
left
people on
media
Twitter.
stuff. It
The
is.
people on
It is.
Twitter?
Unfortunately, I know you don't like it. I know
Oh.
you don't like it. It's absolutely that's who they're pulling up. If you can go up and pull, it's that woman that's screaming at when Trump was reined in as the president. That goes like the no, like that's what they show, and that's what ends up switching people.
Well,
I think it's
this is
wrong.
what I mean by
don't
how do
think it's
you
right.
How do you bridge this gap? Because
What Disney was doing was the way to bridge it. You come in.
I don't think
and
it
you
was because
show
they're
that
even more
being-
unhinged this year than they were last year.
Well, now because
this
he's
year
no
is in
longer doing it like
2025.
that. He's no longer doing it that way. But I think, and I mean, not every single left-leaning person is going to do this. But I think, like, Destiny has the ability to not to just glaze him here, but he has the ability to speak very quickly and get it in his points. And he has, I don't even know what his memory is like, but he's able to recall all these really specific points and stuff to where unlike I think most left-leaning people when they're talking to right-leaning people, they just sound like idiots. Like Destiny has a really, even when I would watch those debates, the right-leaning people would be like Ben Shapiro's usually an aggressive. He goes down, jumps down to people. He was like a docile lamb in front of Destiny. Like every single
Yeah, but
point
it's
that
because
Destiny
he
would bring up,
knows he can't say retarded shit in front of me. So then if I
But
agree not to push on
that's
anything, then we sit there and we have a little mutual jerk off.
But it shows, I think, to the right-leaning people, they're like, damn, dude, this guy comes in. He acts completely different. Jordan Peterson looked like an idiot when he was talking to you. I mean, all these
Yeah,
people,
but like it should have been more brutal.
I actually think, well, maybe in a second time, but the first time I thought it was great because it's.
Yeah, there was no second time with either one. Despite how gentle and docile.
I think it was because, I think it was the Trump attempted assassination is where I saw the shift with you very quickly. It was like those tweets that came out. It was like, oh boy, I don't know if you thought that like this was the end of the election and you were just going to go scorched earth from then on. But as soon as that bullet
Well,
whizzed by
no, it was
Trump's
more
head,
like I think it's
there
okay to
goes
have a
Destiny.
principled position to some extent rather than cuck out for somebody whose only fucking concern is when somebody says or does something bad against Jews or Israel. And then in terms of the other guy, I don't want to speak ill of the dead, so I'm not going to say anything about Jordan Peterson because I'm pretty sure he's fucking rotting in a grave somewhere. I think he had a second death moment or something. No, this is the double standards are ridiculous. Fuck it. I think in the left, I think we should feel pumped the fuck up. I think we should make fun of these fucking losers. I think there should be some level of like shame and embarrassment. When I go on liberal or left podcasts, I feel embarrassed if I talk about like, yeah, I'm voting for Biden. Yeah, I'm voting for Harris. Like it's like a loser position to have. Meanwhile, these guys can walk around with impunity being the biggest Trump cumsocks in the universe with absolutely no shame at all. Nah, I think they're blowing the fuck up for it.
Okay, I'm going to cycle you guys out. We'll have one more guest round and then we'll
good talking to you guys.
Thanks for coming.
Sounds good. Thanks for letting me.
And last but not least.
Hello?
Okay, what you got?
I think my main point is just going to be that I think that the way that Destiny speaks to these people is probably the best way he can speak to them. Like the only time that Drew guy ever said anything of worth was when he said that he didn't want to go personal, but then rattled off all of Destiny's personal life. Like there's no point arguing with these guys about anything substantive because that's of no interest to them. They can't present anything. Whenever Destiny debates people like Jordan Peterson or Ben Shapiro, if you ask them about, what did you enjoy about it? The only thing they'd say is like, oh, I really enjoyed speaking to him. It's the one good person who can actually speak back, but they won't actually engage with any sort of arguments and then just go on with personal attacks when he's not there. It's just dumb. There's no point arguing, with facts or logic against these people because they're so ideologically opposed. They can just end an argument with, yeah, but his hair was blue once, and then that's it. They've won. They go away.
But
all of their fans.
I don't think they win. I think they look stupid doing that.
They look stupid only to people like us. They don't look stupid to their own kind. You're not.
No, I think they look stupid to the other side too. I do. I think that look, if you look at
this is the call out I'll make. Listen, this is a super simple call out I'll make. Okay, listen, I will just as long as you can engage with the facts, it'll never get to this point. But if you start coming on here arguing some shit that the panel's about, and you don't even know like the basic fucking facts about a thing, then I'm just gonna make fun of you until you cry. That's it. I think it's a super reasonable, easy standard. You should know the basic facts about what you want to come on and talk about. I think
their most creative moments were when they were making personal attacks because that's what they focus on. They have no interest in focusing on anything worthwhile. It doesn't make any sense. Like you might as well just carry on playing ARC Raiders or spamming, fucking soundboards because that's what gets them talking. And to be honest, it brain breaks them so much at the beginning that by the time it gets to the end and you actually start talking about the facts, they don't even combat it because they're so fucked in the head by that point. It's the only time
I think that
actually
they're
get
just annoyed at that point. But Leon, go ahead. What do you got, Leon?
No, but it's the only time to shut up, anyways. But yeah, cool. Anyways, I'm gonna bounce. But Destiny, you need to play more D&D. Okay, bye.
So basically, I'm a bit old right now because we live in a post-truth society. And there's no consequences to lying. I'm not even sure what can we do right now to make people accountable for lying. It's just advantageous to lie. What in debates can we make moderators fact check people in real time or something like that? Because it's not even playing by the same rules in a like a
Yeah, but I don't
soccer
even know
game.
how you fact check, right? We watched 2 videos of like the most emphatic calls to like peaceful protest and to explicitly saying stop the violence, and like the fucking knuckle draggers here are literally like, oh well, he didn't say explicitly. It's just like I don't even know what you can fact check for these people.
But I mean, in TV, like debates in the past, they held people accountable. They fact checked in real time. They made sure people answered questions. We are just right now. There's no stakes. People just there's no honor. People just fucking lie all the time, man.
See,
And
I
it's
just
fucking
disagree with you
blackpilling me
that.
because it's
Yeah, I just disagree with you that this is helping them. I think they look stupid, and I think it's hurting them that they behave this way.
I don't think so because
Okay, well, I think we
the
saw the
consequences?
the November of last year, 2025. We saw then. We've seen in the special elections going through, and I'll bet you some money that we see it again in the midterms. You got
And I think that's a
$100 you're willing
consequence.
to put on the table?
I think that's just a consequence of Trump fucking up so bad. If Trump wasn't fucking up so bad, I don't think people would even notice. Because if you lie and you're like J.D. Vance, for example, which is a much better liar.
Hold on, it's obviously not going to be the entire reason or even the main reason, but these things have
Yeah,
accelerating effects.
that's not good though, right? It's like imagine Hitler would have survived the next election and he ends up getting voted out of office because the people are mad because he should have killed 12 million instead of 6. And you're like, well, look, he lost the election, and it's like, okay, yeah, but not for the right reason. Like that's not a thing to celebrate.
To be clear, I do think that Trump should it is a good reason that the Republican Party is going to lose because they are proven incapable of governing. I think that's a perfectly fine
Yeah, I
reason
know,
to
but it's not because of the. But they should lose because of the style of governance that they're advocating and attempting to do.
That should also be true. Yes. Alish, what do you got?
Yeah.
Oh, if you want to respond to that, go ahead. But then Alish.
No, I was just going to say that the more Porsche likes Republicans that still lie, they have no consequences still. And it's not noticed as much. You just notice Trump because he's fucking up so bad. And that's the advantage and the disadvantage. But yeah, thank you, man.
No problem. Alish.
All right, so this is a bit of a spicy position to take as a liberal, but I think you said something about I don't remember the percentage, but 40-something% of people say that ICE should be abolished. Is that?
I think it's 42% right now.
42%. So I'm kind of the opinion that ICE should not necessarily be abolished. Where are you on that?
I mean, that's generally my position. I mean, it's important to enforce the immigration stuff in the country. I don't think we should have people here illegally and just sitting here with no consequence. But I think that the reputation of ICE has been so fucking tarnished at this point, and the way that Trump is kind of using them as his little Gestapo army, I think is just. I think at this point, I think they need to go. And if we want to redo it and make some other organization or hand over those responsibilities to some other department, like they did with the Department of Education, then we should just do that. I think.
So I really think that not. Abolishment, but reformation would probably be the best thing. So for example, I said earlier that there was a act that was up in Maryland for the Icebreaker Act that would say that it specifically says all current or newly hired ICE officers are not going to be eligible for any law enforcement in the future, because it is my understanding that a lot of these people are not even being hired or brought up to standards when it comes to this. So I don't think that ICE should be abolished whatsoever. I mean, they were used to the advantage in the Obama era, and we can't forget that he was the deporter in chief. So I don't think I think it's really detrimental to actually abolish the entire organization.
It would be like Germany making a new police force or whatever and calling them the Gestapo, but saying they're reformed. I think the reputation is so fucked at this point. You've got mass dudes running around with all sorts of crazy shit. I don't know. I'm the most bootlegger pro police dude on the fucking left. I literally am. I don't think anybody is more than me. But at this point, I would say the reputation is so fucked. I wouldn't even try to salvage it. I would just reform and replace, or just replace it with something else. It could be an equivalent job, but
ICE what would you replace it with?
I don't know.
What
something
would you
else.
even replace it with?
What it can be the same type of org.
Just to be clear,
I think the function is important.
Yeah, we like ICE is relatively new. It didn't. I think it was formed in 2003. So we would just go back
Probably
to
as part of the Department of Homeland Security.
Oh, Department. Yeah, I think Department. Yeah, like we would just go to the world before that, right? Which isn't too long ago. And we
Well,
didn't
I
have a
mean,
huge
but
issue.
the thing is we saw it being used effectively. So why would we already take something that's effective, that was effective back
as
in
Destiny argued,
the Obama era and the Biden
it's
era?
because it's lost the public trust, and without the public trust, it cannot do its job.
But we also have that same rhetoric that is kind of ringing true for other things that have, wanted to be abolished, and we still have done that.
We've never had.
In addition,
never
I think,
had a near.
Or what's a comparable? Wait. What's a comparable example of that? Then, when you say other things, like what are we talking about?
So I mean, although it wasn't successful, like a lot of people have been saying, like, defund, abolish the police and stuff like that, which is not entirely comparable.
But that never
still,
had public support.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's true. But in general, I feel like saying abolish ICE and then not having something in place or some sort of plan for it is basically not going to appeal to any of the moderates whatsoever, because they're going to hear.
I don't disagree. Also, I would be careful. Fuck moderates, but like center-left people, I agree that like the messaging needs to be careful. Like, because a lot of people that used to say the abolish ICE shit are just fucking losers that think that we should just have like all on borders and no immigration enforcement or whatever, which I think is stupid. Like, I don't disagree that we should be careful in terms of how we talk about it there. But you were just asking me personally, would I keep ICE? I wouldn't. But I mean, I would replace them with like an equivalent organization that does immigration enforcement and everything. Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, would it make more sense to just go through and abolish the people and get rid of the people who were maybe hired in the last year or so?
No, I think the reputation, like I said, it's like keeping the Gestapo, but like hiring new people. Like I think the reputation has been completely and utterly fucked.
Okay, well, we obviously don't care about reputation because fucking Trump was elected again, so that's out of the it's off the table right now. So reputation obviously doesn't fucking matter to anybody.
Well, what do you mean?
So the argument would be that Trump has tarnished the reputation of the presidency so much. So why don't we just abolish that too, right? Like,
no, that's not my argument.
What is your argument? I'm sorry,
Trump,
I misunderstood. Yeah.
So Trump already tarnished his reputation by being the president the first time, and he was still.
Yeah, but Destiny wants to abolish Trump. Destiny wants to abolish Trump.
Well, wait. Also, I don't think Trump abolished his reputation. Clearly not. He got elected again. No.
He got elected again. You can't well, he doesn't have a choice this time. I mean, he can't be elected again. And even though fucking what's his face says that he's going to try to do it anyway, that doesn't mean he can. He's going to abolish him because he's either going to kick the bucket or he's going to age out, or 4 years are going to end and he's going to be done.
Okay. So I guess I got a question. One last question for Destiny, then I'll let you guys go. In the future, when I do set these things up, how do you want me to approach this then? If this is going to be how you're going to interact with these people, it's going to be even harder than it is to get people on, to be very clear with you.
Why would it be harder?
Because
they can just have a fact-based conversation where they're not making shit up. That's really that hard?
In certain cases, they just disagree with what the facts are.
Oh, well, we have medication for those types of people.
Okay. Well, thank you, everyone, for calling in. Thank you for everyone for being here. Gang, what do we got coming up? If you like this stream, for whatever reason, hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Next week, on Monday, we are going to have Christy Winters, the feminist who fought against our Sargon of Akkad. We're going to have Stardust. We're going to have Ash. And we're going to have Marlo. And they're going to be discussing, should we hold women more accountable? Because I need a break from the ice stuff, gang. I'm going to be real with you. But yeah, tune in for that. Should be fun. Anything coming up with you, Destiny?
Can I suggest a question for that?
Yes, please.
Just a thing for if you guys are going to talk about that?
Sure.
You guys should ask. I think you should establish, does body count matter?
Okay. I don't know if we're going to go full red pill, but... Okay.
Just in general.
Okay. Okay, I'll let you guys go. See you later. Bye.
Be careful.
Bye.
Okay, gang. I don't know. What do you guys want? What do you guys want? What do you want to see, dear audience? Right? I don't know. I still stand by it. I was disappointed in the behavior tonight. I really was. People show up, right? I want more substantive discussions. And let me ask you guys this. Because I've been looking into it, because I've reached a level where I'm making a decent wage at this. If I did, I'm just gauging interest. If I did this in person, if I got a studio together, right, where I had a live in-person thing where I'd fly people out, one person on the right side, one person on the left side, and host a discussion, kind of the news of the day, would that be something you want to watch? Would you tune in? We'd have actual professional equipment, not this webcam from the Cracker Jack box that's literally right now sitting on a Pop-Tarts box. And I'm not kidding you. That's where it's sitting. That's where it's situated, right? But I'd do it in Pennsylvania, near where I live, right? There's a city and there's an airport right there. I've looked at the costs to this, and I could probably swing it with a little help, right? Will I wear a suit? I wouldn't wear a hoodie. I'd wear something a little more professional. But yeah. So, just wondering if you guys would actually tune in for that. And if something I should put forth. Flamenco says, Wick, you'd need to make enough to pay for it for like the next 2 years in advance. Would I? Maybe. Well, thank you, Alish. I want to read the super chats I didn't get to. And you guys can stay if you like. $10 for Lawson Harrison. When reality has a liberal bias, how are we supposed to build a bridge without making them feel either coddled or attacked? I think that, like, you do expect them to have somewhat of a thick skin. I mean, if they have a thin skin, it usually means they're losing. So, yeah. I hope people enjoyed the show. I don't know if I did, but I hope someone did. $20 from Crapahirolin says, as a Destiny fan, thank you for putting up with his perfectly valid crash outs today. Well, thank you for the $20. $10 from Gnarly Bonesful. Imagine bringing on the patently unserious Drew Pavlou. He's literally the same as Casey Tron on Raj Patal, wearing a costume and expecting a productive conversation. Look, I think Drew is capable of a productive conversation. You guys should watch his conversation I hosted with Lonerbox or Erudite. I think those were productive. Yeah, I think he's capable of it. Now, is he correct? No, but he's absolutely capable. $5 says for the Trib 1 to say, is it, there's two of him, so it's $10 total, but $5 from Trib 1 to say, for Wick, did you cuck out at the end of this debate because you do not want MAGA to show themselves and bullying them discourages them? Or is it more so that it makes us on the left look worse when we treat them like the subhumans they are? Or is it something else? Platforming is based. What do you mean by cuck out? When did I cuck out during this debate or this show? I don't think I cucked out. I just have a fundamental difference of opinion on how these things should be done. That's it. I don't consider that cucking out. Okay. What do we got? From the Ashes, Wick, I pay you for a Wick versus Soy Pill platforming debate with Voldemort as moderator. How much must I pay for that shit show? I got about $1,500 in do-bucks. I don't know what do-bucks are, but if you want to give me $1,500 to do it, I'm sure we could make something happen. But no, I would absolutely have a debate with Soy Pill over platforming and what constitutes responsible platforming, things like that. I would absolutely have a debate with him about that, and I will challenge him, and I'm sure me and him will set something up. I don't know if Destiny will moderator. We'll get someone else, or we won't need a moderator, but we will absolutely have that happen. Maybe we'll make it a show. Maybe we'll make it a 2v2 thing. I don't know. But, yeah. $10 from Robert Paulson says, so sorry again. My kiddo walked in just as you got me on. Next time. Well, sorry about that. Timing bad. £5 from Riz says, love these debates even when the right-wing voices are as low tier as they were tonight. It's good to talk about this stuff even with retards. Well, thank you for the £5. $10 from Rob Red to say these people never will. It is their ego, and their ego is tied to their whole identity. Them admitting that is tantamount to breaking their whole reality. They need therapy, not more exposure. Again, we're talking about what, like when you're talking and having these discussions, it's not just the people you're talking to. You're talking to everyone who watches this discussion too. And I think that people can see, people have eyes, right? And they can see the differences in how, on the command of the facts, how people engage, and they make judgments based on that. And for some people, right, they will weight things differently. And you have to be cognizant of that. And like look at I'll give you an example. I was watching Hutch earlier today, and he was watching a Kyle Kalinske clip, and Kyle Kalinske was excoriating Newsom for how he handled his podcast and was saying he was cucking out, he was having a pillow fight, he was basically giving them hand jobs and things like that. And he found like he should have gone blood sports, he should have gone for the throat, etc., etc., etc. And Hutch, in contrast, thought that Newsom did very well in most of these debates. He had some criticisms, but he thinks he did very well because, as Hutch noted, like the audience for these people, for these podcasts that he was hosting, wasn't the Kyle Kalinskes of the world. It was the normies, the average voter, right? The person on the street. And I think that they judge these things, and what they want out of these things is different, right, than what DGG wants, right? Or what even I want in certain cases. I think that you have to recognize your impact on how people view you. I think it's just something you have to kind of keep in mind during these discussions. $10 or €10, I should say, from Klobathar to say, if Trump and friends repeatedly equate illegal immigrants with criminals, suggest to remove citizenship from real citizens, citizens no longer should assume that ICE operations are lawful. And let me just be clear, like I am totally in agreement with Destiny's position that ICE has made itself a slur amongst normal people, right? All my homies hate ICE. And this is borne out in data, right? We have polling on this. We have information on this. We have recorded conversations on this, right? We have people on the ground talking about this. Trump voters talking about this, right? Trump voters saying, hey, this is too much. I'm not okay with this. And I think that anyone at this point who takes DHS's word for anything is a fool. In Chicago, I don't know if you guys remember, but last year they did the same thing in Chicago that they're doing in Minneapolis. They did a blitz thing. They called it the Operation Blitz, Metropolis Blitz or some shit. I forget the exact term. Anyway, DHS arrested, right, or brought charges against 31 individuals for non-immigration related crimes. So what I mean by that is people who obstructed, or they said were interfering with law enforcement, various things. Not all of these cases have gone through, right? Some are still pending. But 15 have resulted in a verdict or been dropped or something. Let me ask you, out of these 15 cases, how many convictions do you think DHS got here? Or the DOJ in behalf of DHS got? How many? Any guesses? 0. None. None. Not a single fucking one. All 15 that have gone through have resulted in dropped case or acquittal. Do you know why, dear viewer? It's because the DHS, right, the evidence that they presented was either unconvincing or flat out lies. They are bringing charges against citizens based on lies. They are not to be trusted. They lie. Again, 100% of these cases. 100%. Not 90, not 80, not just most of them. Every single one that has been resolved to this date has resulted in an acquittal. Sit with that, gang. That's insane. Do you know the federal conviction rate? Does anyone know off the top of their head? It's like in the 90s, right? I think it's like 98% or some crazy amount. And we usually get through plea deals and stuff like that, right? But the evidence that DHS is bringing forth for these non-immigration crimes with result in relation to ICE and things like that have all resulted in acquittals, at least in that Chicago area specifically, right? I can't speak to LA or these things, but yeah, it's crazy. Just keep that in mind. Anyone who DHS is a fool. A fool. That's all I gotta say. Okay. Yeah. What do you guys think? Anything else you want me to talk about today? Yes? No? Maybe? I do appreciate you all coming through. I do like it. Thank you. Thank you for the donos. There are call-ins waiting. What do they want to talk? Do they want to talk to me? What do they want to talk to me about? Fungus. If anyone, I'll wait. I'll wait like 2 minutes here, or 5 minutes or something. Fungus. If there's someone that wants to talk to me, let me know. Oh yeah, I got more super chats. Sorry. I'll read these super chats. Yeah. I get distracted. I apologize. 5 euros from Luvanweed says Destiny is only treating these fools with the disdain they should be given by society as a whole. Normalize bullying right wingers again. $5. And look, Luvanweed. I agree to an extent, but he went far too far in my opinion because it created an obstacle to having an actual discussion. That's all. $5 from Seahawks fan. It is a shit show because we should not have to tolerate these people, Drew, etc. The shit show is these people being ever taken seriously, Wick. Well, thank you for the $5. $10 from Michael Hatch Tube. We all is my screen down? Sorry. We all intuitively rank inexact adjectives for morally coding other actions like ideal, saint-like, good, neutral, bad, terrible, vile. All our tribal exaggerations a form of dishonesty? No, I disagree with that. But it is kind of weird to instead of Trump's fraud is bad, just like Somali's fraud is bad. And trying to equate these two things, I think, is a form of dishonesty, yes. To pretend that those things are equal in scope and scale is a form of dishonesty, yes. I think that if you can't acknowledge that someone stealing $10 billion is worse than someone stealing $10, even though they are both thieves, they both have stolen, I don't know what kind of conversation we can have. $5, or I'm sorry, THB, 100 THB, what the fuck is THB? Says for the guy, he's not here, so I can't read that. Well, I guess I'll read it just for you guys' sake. For the guy in glasses, the mayor said not to go beyond recording and to go home if you cannot do that, thus condemning interference. Does he concede? I don't know, you'll have to ask him. What have I missed? $20 from Existential Ryan. Mass federal agents executed mom in her suburban neighborhood, and these are words. Our words want to calmly say her, der, both sides. The children in the church were attacked and terrorized. Okay. $10 from Hell's Pacifist. Please skip Drew's outro. He won't say anything new, meaningful, useful, or worth hearing. X-Files theme. Yeah, I'm not going to skip people's outros, even if you think they're worthless. Sorry, but thank you for the $10. 100 DKK, whatever that is. From Always Reason, say, we have conservatives arguing for martial law in the states because people are protesting. These are not conservatives. They are fascists. Thank you for that. $10 from Jujitsu says, I love how every criticism of ICE to these losers is always, you guys just want open borders. Having a reasonable middle ground is so foreign to them. Thank you for the $10. 10 euros from Leuvenweed says, it seems that Hunter and Drew keep their bad faith positions even when new information that disproves them comes up. So let's draw a line in the sand right now. What is too far for you guys? $5 from I Killed Earl. Drew is a liar. The gun was stolen by a Latin Kings gang member from an unmarked vehicle 8 days ago. They were not a member of a leftist group. Latin Kings isn't a leftist group. They're Latin. They start with the same letter. Okay. Don't you know these things? I'm obviously memeing a little bit. I Killed Earl for $5. If this was really about immigration, then why isn't ICE invading Florida with 5 million immigrants, or Texas 5.5 million instead of Minnesota 500,000? Good question. Donna wants to talk to me, and Idra wants to yell at me. Okay, let me bring him on. Okay, you wanted to talk to me, you wanted to yell at me.
No.
Here I am.
I don't want to yell at you. I wanted to say I hope you guys are safe with the terrible weather that's supposed to be coming the next couple of days. And I also wanted to bring up the best way to respond to like MAGA idiots that just love everything that Trump does. You just have to respond with Trump quotes. And that usually shuts them up pretty quick. I live in a really red area, and every time something comes up, I just respond with a Trump quote, and they go, "Oh well, no, and they just get really flustered and won't usually give up the point. They'll just go, "Okay, I guess that's all right." And like we had a thing about the Charlie Kirk shooting, and they asked me what I would say to all the people that are praising the death of Charlie Kirk, and I said I'd tell them to stand back and stand by.
Based.
And they didn't know what to say to that. They just kind of, they didn't want to say, oh, so you want to incite them to keep doing things, because then that means Donald Trump was inciting something when he said that. And just answering them with Trump quotes usually shuts them up pretty quick.
Okay. Iterator, or it. I don't know how to say
I just want to say, do not bring fucking Drew back ever again. He's a dirty Australian. All right.
What happens if
I don't want fucking Drew coming?
What are you gonna do if I do? If I bring him back, what are you gonna do?
You could. All right. Technically, you could, and I'll still watch because I fucking love you, Wick.
Okay.
But like, still, I think he should fucking stay away. He's a dirty Australian. He shouldn't be here telling me or any of us how to run our country or what should happen or what the president should do. Fuck him. He's full of shit. He's a fucking hella biased. Keep him off the stream. That's my opinion.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that opinion.
He's a convict's child.
I still love you though.
Okay,
Australians
well,
are all
too.
convicts.
True. Get him out of here.
Okay. Well, thanks for calling in, gang. Anything else?
You have a good night.
Yeah, you
Stop
too.
taking my money, but I'll give
I'm
you
good.
money.
Anyone else wanna give me their thoughts? Pay me money? No, seriously though, I want to thank my community, honestly, all of you. Anyone here who is just, even if you're just watching, right? I'd like it if you'd hit the like button at least, right? That'd be nice. But even if you're just watching this, I do appreciate you. I do like it. I do value your thoughts and opinions, even if they're stupid sometimes, which is fine. I don't want a hug box. I don't want a place where everyone agrees with me. I want a place where they're free and feel free to vociferously disagree with me. I think that's a good thing. I think that's a healthy thing in a community. And I think that when you get these echo chambers, it makes you stupider, makes you dumber. Okay. Ironic, I know, to use those words, but you know what I mean. $5 from NXA to say a tie to our liege. Well, Thank you for your tithing. I do appreciate it. But a tithe is 10%. Is that 10% of your income? I don't know if it is, but I do appreciate the $5. From the ashes for $5 says Wick, please do the panel idea with you versus Soypill. I will. I'll set that up. Don't worry. Let's see. How much have we made tonight, gang? Oh, we are at almost. Look, if we make $100 more, then we're gonna be at. Well, we won't be at 1,000, but we'll be close. We'll be at 800. Okay, so 100 more bucks. You got some deep pockets, bros. I know I'm passing the hat around, but if I'm gonna have a studio, I need a little more money, right? So just pass the hat around a little bit. Not a bad take tonight, though. I do appreciate it. And hey, if you guys want to be a part of my Discord community, did it disappear again? I'm sorry. If you guys want to be, if you guys want to, I'm getting a new webcam too, hopefully soon. Let Icarus says, I tried to give a super chat, but YouTube keeps giving me an error. Well, YouTube is terrible. So yeah, so what happens with how I have set it up and why it's going is whenever I minimize my popped out screen for whatever reason, it grays out. And I don't minimize it on purpose. It's just when I click on certain tabs, it just automatically does it, and I don't know why. I'd have to figure it out. But yeah. Okay. Oh, as I was saying, we have great debates coming up. We have some great topics coming up. We have great content coming up. And I would like to do this live and in person. I think it changes the dynamic. I take it changes the feel. It changes how people engage with one another. I don't think we have a show like we did tonight, right? If it's an in-person show. I don't think that happens. I think there's actively there's more obstacles to that happening in the real world, so to speak. And I think that yeah, if you guys want to see that and you guys give me a little more money, we can actually make that happen. That is a realistic goal that I could do. So I've looked, like I priced it out, Flamenco, and we're looking at places, right? And that's going to be one of the biggest expenses is rent, basically. But the equipment and things like that, I priced it out. I've saved up a lot. I could afford most of it. I'd need to get a couple investments, and I think I could. Maybe a small business loan or something. I could absolutely do that. But it's absolutely something that that is feasible with the amount of money I'm bringing in. I would need boxing gloves. Maybe. Oh, okay. I think we had a great time. To an extent. I love you guys. I'll see you guys on Monday, 6 p.m. Eastern. We got Stardust, we got Marlo, we got Ash, and we got Christy Winters coming on. It's going to be a lot more well-behaved. Should be fun. Okay, gang? I'll see you guys then. Bye-bye.